screen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Well, hello there. How did you get in this room? It's me, Mikey Famine, and I'm joined here with Tim. Hi, Tim.
Hi.
How'd you get in my bedroom? I'm very sleepy.
Well, Mikey, you gave me your address some time ago, and
Cobras everywhere.
Self-doxing.
Cobras.
well, that was your mistake.
And we're also joined by Landon. Oh, I don't have my soundboard color. I told you I was sleepy. I told y'all I was sleepy.
Well, I have to wait for the event here. There we go. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your time zone, latitude, and number of aggressively mobile humanoids that you've had to corral.
Yes. Before we get into our bands, I have an announcement.
Okay.
Yesterday was 6 years to the day. Well, not yesterday, a couple days ago. Yeah, but for you guys yesterday. It was the first day I met my wife. So I will recant the tale because people don't believe me. But you can ask her; she'll avoid you. Or probably
I don't believe you.
So my buddy Aaron invited me to a concert because his sister couldn't go. She had to work.
What concert?
It was a Sum 41 concert. It was like an outdoor festival kind of thing. There's probably like 30 bands.
Great Canadian band.
Great Canadian band. But I think Mars Volta was there. Thrice was there. Like a bunch of those kind of like modern grungy kind of like Thursday type band, like very cool shit. And Sum 41 was headlining. So I said, hell yeah, I'll go. Fucking sweated my ass off. It was like 137,000 degrees. Walked around, saw the first couple of people. It was fine. And then like, in between the bands, they play songs like when they're like changing the drum sets and shit like that. Well, they started playing Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way. And I just kind of did one of those and I ran over to her and I said, come here, I need to sing this to somebody. And that turned out to be the smoothest. She is the biggest She's the biggest Backstreet Boys fan there is. She has a signed picture of Nick Carter on her desk. It's her and Nick Carter. So I got her number and then we hung out for the rest of the concert. My phone died. I thought she wasn't going to call me back. Long story short, our kids in the other room, Take the Chance Boys, sing the song. Finn.
Well done. Well, that's a really
happy
nice
anniversary, baby. She'll watch this later.
That's a nice tribute to a special person.
Yep, she stuck with me legally. Gotcha. You're not going anywhere now, lady. I got your kid. Yeah, she's the best. She puts up with a lot of shit because I'm weird as hell. That's my bants. What you got, Tim?
It rained so much yesterday.
Yeah, your internet was doing the lambada.
We had what some would call severe weather, and it went on for the entire night.
Did the pups do okay?
Yeah, no, they did mostly okay. Like there were a couple of close lightning strikes. But
these dogs are anti-noise.
Yeah, they're anti-noise. We currently live on a mountain, so flooding isn't really a possibility here. But I hear that the lowlands got flooded.
Yeah. We had flooding in Chicago the same time as that stuff in Texas. But it didn't get on the news. It was just house damages.
I hear some of the subways in New York City flooded again, and the Jersey Turnpike was absolutely flooded. Parts of like I-95 and 84 were flooded.
Tim,
Like-
if you're gonna weasel this into some freaking climate change conspiracy, like acting like these freaking incidents are all connected somehow, like
Well, I just want to say that climate change is real, and this stuff didn't happen as much back in the day.
not everywhere all at the same time.
Well, I will say that as somebody that's actually participated in climate change modeling, done the sniffing of the air up at the Mauna Loa observatory, where they capture probably the hardest thing about the CO2, the hardest data that we have, the most precise data about the CO2 climb since the 60s. And yes, the climate is changing. We are forcing the climate into a more energetic state, which is why I like to call it climate forcing, because we have, if you look at the CO2 lines from gas that's trapped in the Antarctic ice back several 100,000 years, now we have this unusually fast, high second derivative climb of CO2, and we are forcing our climate into a more energetic state. And when the climate's more energetic, you get more extreme weather. That bell curve, gets broader, and things out on the edges that you experience, be it a flood in Texas or a drought in Sahara or a snow fall in Cascades. Those are things that happen once you're in a more energetic state and you have more extreme. So, Tim, what you're experiencing is a weather phenomenon, which is just a data point in that bell curve that we're broadening. And we need to stop making the climate more energetic, because you have greater chances of extreme weather. Our droughts are going to become longer. Our rains are going to be harder. Our hurricanes are going to be more frequent and higher, velocities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
How close are we to like a day after tomorrow situation? Like, how close are we to like
yesterday?
Well, it depends on which tomorrow you're referring to.
10 days ago, Tim.
We do have the crisis of losing hydrogen. The Earth does not have enough mass to hold on to this hydrogen, and in long before the sun goes into its giant phase, and it's debated probably in the 1.5 to 2 billion year range, we'll have lost too much hydrogen, and our planet will move into the dry phase, where the equatorial regions will be dry desert, and the polar caps will be where the stuff gets locked into play, and it won't be very fun. But that's an Earth mass problem.
Digital me is very upset to hear that.
But again, it's not global warming. Climates change all the time. I prefer to use climate forcing, and we have created a situation in the atmosphere where the heat differentially escapes, resulting in the lower atmosphere becoming more energetic, and therefore we have greater chances of more extreme. So it's not the case that the weather caused this big fire, or some big fire, but the big fire is a consequence of having more energetic atmosphere, where you can get drier droughts, wetter monsoons, stronger hurricanes, more frequent thunderstorms, et cetera, et cetera. It's the more extreme weather, and people focus on let's say the floods and say, oh, we have this terrible floods, but that is a data point on that fatter bell curve that's allowing more extreme events to occur more frequently, and we should be concerned about it. That's the science. The policy, what you do about it, is another thing. And until and unless the planet gets over its libertarianism problem, it's a military malaise, and where people say, they are political cowards, and say, under the notion of liberty and freedom, don't tell them what to do. It's merely it really is a case of, I'm not going to do anything about it. Your kids are going to do something about it. I'm selfish.
Right. So
until we get over that thing and start acting, we're going to do things. And so
Would you say the climate is at a higher electron energy shell?
Yeah, and we keep pumping photons into it, and those xenon flash bulbs are elevating our electrons up to the higher orbitals, and they compound and decay, and we're getting X-ray, we're getting more energetic.
Tim, I've been reading Quantum Physics for Kids and for babies. It is a hilarious book. And
I just thought you were like, Mikey's just gonna he looked up some fancy words to say to LinkedIn.
No. Those books that you got for your kid,
they're awesome.
And she's going to grow up saying, well, of course, this is what quantum mechanics is. She won't
Right.
make the mistake I did.
That's not real. They're just fluffing the data. That can't be real. And then when start off with it.
Again, this is when they go from when you wish the days of aggressively mobile humanoids, when they become those teenagers, then they'll do things that are really cringeworthy, such as to say to Richard Feynman, now you're being silly, when he tried to describe to me quantum mechanics, right?
To be fair, who could have known? It is the most counterintuitive branch of science. So
yes, when it is to be on the Milwaukee atheist thing, I would say that quantum mechanics is proof that this universe was not intelligently designed.
Facts. It is crazy down there.
However,
nothing makes sense.
However, I think on the other side of the coin, if the universe was intuitive, my universe, if I made the universe and it was intuitive, my universe wouldn't work, right? Quantum mechanics is fundamental to reality. We just don't. We're just teenage stubbornly trying to say no, that doesn't make sense. But it is. However, we don't understand. We don't understand that the thing that is not well understood with quantum mechanics is what are the measurements. All this stuff about complaints about spook accident distance and what the thing does. The professors say shut up and just calculate. When you say does the electron really go through both slits at the same time? Blah, 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 blah. That kind of thing says that we don't understand really what a measurement is. We don't understand why when I measure, if I there's excuses you could do, but when you observe a photon or you observe a electron and something happens, we don't quite understand that process. Until we do, our understanding of quantum mechanics is going to be incomplete.
It's cool. We're going to put a whole bunch of funding into that.
So much funding. Oh, wait. No, that's all going to immigration enforcement.
Europe's going to discover everything about the quantum. And we're going to be like, God, we were so close. We were about to say that. It's like we were about to hit the dinger to answer on Jeopardy or whatever. And we just lose every time. We're going to be losing to the buzzer every time for like the next 5 discoveries. And that pisses me off.
I am hopeful for humanity that we will have other societies that value art and science and literature and will promote those things.
To Nigeria.
Yeah, by the way, if you really want to get some really fine art, both the visual painting and sculpture and jazz, that is just over the top world class stuff, and street theater and so forth. Lagos, Nigeria has got an amazing culture there. It's quite extraordinary.
As a Nigerian prince, thank you, 23andMe.
Hey, Mikey, before we start the show properly, I got to do a little bit of house cleaning here.
Clean that house, Tim.
Like and subscribe on the YouTubes. Become a member. That's right. It only costs a few dollars to become a member. Also, patreon.com/thebinpodcast. Become a patron. We have a free tier. Also, you can give us money. It's fine. And if you're watching on Twitch, subscribe, follow. And Mikey, we're going to do a little experiment here.
And the girls are fighting, aren't they?
So I saw that yesterday that Graham had this little challenge thing going on, right? In his chat, the super chat.
yeah.
Thing.
Okay.
So I'm going to do one for us. If we reach our goal in the super chat, I will record the food that I'm making tonight, and we'll review it on tomorrow's show.
Ooh, that's a good challenge because
Are you recording the food or how you prepare it?
How I prepare the food? Yes, I'm recording.
Okay, so that could be critiqued.
Yes. And just so
I'm gonna have a blast tomorrow.
Just so everyone knows in the chat, I'm making hibachi.
Ooh. So you're making a hibachi, or you're using a hibachi to cook food?
I'm using a flat grill to make hibachi style food.
Okay.
Tim's gonna be in the kitchen with the big ass hat, spinning an egg, squirting sauce in his wife's mouth, flicking some egg to the dog.
I got the zucchinis to like throw at her. So
he's in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Dangerous as shit.
And so they're good. But by the way, for those who see in here, I got my lava wall, and these are some of the original lava light lamps that was used when we at Silicon Graphics when we did Lava Rad. We actually got a patent, which is now expired, to take images of that and turn it into use it for cryptography, right? And in fact, today, if you go to like Cloudflare, about 20% of the internet traffic is encrypted with cameras pointing at lava light lamps, and those are some of the original of the lava.
That is crazy.
Oh man, Mikey, I can't do the challenge because I'm not the owner of the channel. The owner of the channel has to do it.
Well, you got to sign in as the bin and have that on your thing. No.
Oh, I think I have that somewhere.
It's all right.
Anyway, so I look forward to what you're doing. You're cooking. I've been experimenting with the things myself, setting up not a kitchen because I don't have a kitchen for zoning purposes. So I'm not a kitchen. I've been doing experiments. So I take a archetype and work on it. Coming up, I have doing some frittatas. That's my next thing, and then beyond that, I have a double layer chocolate cake that I'm going to make. And so you pick something, and then you figure out what do I need to make this thing, and if you don't have a certain item, I will get those items to make sure that I'm capable.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of that, like experimenting with like making different kinds of food, because I get bored very easily of like eating the same things.
Yeah.
And so I like to experiment. I've been experimenting a lot with Asian style foods, which is why I'm making the hibachi. I recently, well, not recently, but about a year ago, I got a very nice wok. And I've been cooking basically everything I could in that wok because it's such a versatile cooking device. Like you can do anything with that one pan.
That's my favorite Pantera song. Walk, don't.
I just want to say for everyone out there, Pantera sucks.
I know.
Pantera
good people.
The worst.
The music's good. The people are bad.
Well, I don't know about the people, but certainly the concert was interesting. It was loud.
They got some questionable types in there.
Yes, I've been to a Pantera concert.
Tim will record his dinner making tonight for us to watch tomorrow.
Yes.
Live. Start.
Well, yes.
Is it 10?
10? What? I did 10 at like at least $2.
I did all colors, so I think that qualifies.
I think that works.
And start.
Next time I'll just sign into the bin on YouTube, I guess. Whatever.
I mean, I thought you did, but maybe
I thought I did too.
All right.
Fine.
So
we have to say hello to the people, and then we can begin in truth and honor. Gina, hello. Russell, Muttley, Sage Outcast, Bruno Genius, Billy Kershaw, and that's it. If you want me to give you an air horn, you gotta say hello. Say hello, will you? Will you? All right. Now I am going to stop my share screen. And Landon, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. I am going to start my share screen. So we are here.
Real quick. I'm so sorry. Can you
Please.
check the connection on your microphone real quick? I'll vamp for you for a few seconds, but it got a little crackly. I think it might be coming out.
Test. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay, that's good.
Right. So we are here to discuss the Vera Rubin Observatory. Not all that other stuff. Just to kick back and chill at this amazing observatory. But before we talk about the observatory and what it's about and what it's capable of doing, we need to talk about an amazing astronomer, Vera Rubin, which, by the way, I name my computers after famous physicists who have demonstrated, mathematical prowess and capability. And so this laptop I'm broadcasting on is called Rubin, because in honor of Vera Rubin, an amazing astronomer. And the observatory is an extraordinary observatory, one of the great observatories of the world. And there are actually few astronomers that I think are of high enough caliber that would deserve to have this observatory named after her. And Vera Rubin is one of those astronomers. You may not have heard about her much before even the observatory was there. But I wanted to give you, first of all, who was Vera Rubin? And I've not met her personally. I've been to a astronomy convention where she spoke, but she was a really extraordinary thing. She made really essential contributions to the study of dark matter. This detection of excess gravity that seems to be beyond what we might expect from mass, and she made a number of detailed observations that put the existence of dark matter, whatever it is, into existence. It's hard to say. I don't say that Vera Rubin discovered dark matter, because we still don't understand what dark matter is.
Right.
She took ideas from people such as astronomers such as Zwicky. She did the hard data gathering analysis to begin to understand and measurements to say the concepts that Zwicky was putting out are real. And so she did a lot of work on things like there's now the Rubin Ford effect, which has to do with entropy of the expansion of the universe. She did a lot of stuff about galactic motion of how galaxies are spinning, did the detailed work to do that, and also she discovered, you see those spiral galaxies with the arms twirling around, and you think everything's swimming in that same direction. She also discovered counter-rotating material in galaxies, stuff going the opposite direction. And Rebels. So she was she was one of those kids that were curious, and she made she had a homemade telescope where you see there. As a kid, she made her this is a telescope she made, right? This was a quite capable experimental physicist, even at a young age.
Mikey, what'd you make when you were a kid?
Fires. Lots.
Was it a telescope?
Fires, and I ran away from them all.
and she would this thing. She would take this telescope, kind of pack it up in kind of bags, and take it onto a bus, and take the bus downtown and set up in the middle of downtown, and have people look through her telescope. Right? She went from a small lens, from scientific, and built this telescope. And then let people see it, right? That was part of her early signs of this long there. She went to Vassar College, worked at the observatory there. She earned an undergraduate degree there with distinction. But people kept saying, but don't you want to do things that we expect a girl of your age to do? And she was like, no. Yeah, she did. She had a family, a devoted family with kids. But she also was a very active astronomer. She did a lot of work at Noll Observatory, hands-on stuff, right? She got in there to do the nitty-gritty change outs and refinements of instruments. She went worked with his researcher named Kent Ford, who developed a spectrograph. That's basically a thing to say you want to take a light from something and break it up into individual separate frequencies.
Give me them light
bands. Yeah, look at those rainbows of and she used that spectrograph to start taking measurements inside a galaxy that is looking down in the galaxy and noticing the speed of that. This side is moving this way, this side is moving this way. So this is Doppler shifted towards us, Doppler shifted away from us, and started taking the measurements of the actual rotation speeds inside galaxies.
Wow. That does sound painstaking to sit there and keep like, okay, I'm at this point, taking a measurement here. Okay, I'm at this point, taking like that takes and look at the great computer she has to write all this shit down.
This is 1972, right? This is 1972. She's taking these images, these spectrographs, and doing very detailed work. When her paper came out about how fast the galaxies were rotating, that she measured, and she did quite a number of galaxies. Her data was solid. Her analysis was solid, and it was no longer this doubting what Zwicky might was suggesting. Her data was at a sigma level that it was real, and so she basically said these galaxies are spinning so fast that if the only thing that we think is matter is there, they should be flying apart. All of these should be flying apart. If the merry-go-round is spinning so fast, everything should be flying off of the merry-go-round, but they're not. There must be more a strong gravitational field than we can account for with mass. And so she put the notion of what we call dark matter onto, I probably didn't say dark energy, dark matter onto becoming, this is a real phenomenon. And more than that, her thing suggested that there's about 6 times more stronger gravitational field with this dark matter than there is normal matter. That is it's not just a subtle effect. In your average galaxy, the effect of this dark matter excess gravity is about 6 times more than we can count for on average with mass.
Isn't there like another classification for like our kind of matter, like matter you can interact with? There's like a one-word thing for it.
Baryonic. Right? It's called baryonic matter, and that also includes neutrinos and all the other, the normal stuff.
All particles and stuff. All the particle stuff that we know about.
Yeah, and that's about, in terms of energy, that's about 4%. She confirmed that the 24% of the universe, which is what we call dark matter, that's a real effect. Again, she didn't discover dark matter because we don't know what dark matter really is. She established proof that the gravitational field is there. She also did work with galaxy clusters, looking at galaxy clusters and how they're spinning around, and showing that galaxy clusters are moving so fast that they should be flying apart as well. There's more gravitational field than we can count for. And again, a lot of very painstaking work. She also was an influential woman in astronomy, where unfortunately the field of astronomy is has had a very strong sexist past. And she encountered situations where, even though she's the author, the Rubin's author of this seminal paper on dark matter, she would show up at a conference and someone would say, "Hun, let us know when your husband's here and we can get him some coffee if he wants."
I was about to say,
"I'm Dr. Rubin. I'm the one speaking." Oh, that happened more than once.
At their
So
own
she,
at their own
Go ahead.
peril.
yeah, and people would say, you think like, is it ladylike to be an astronomer? You're up there in an observatory, all dark. So she really worked hard to encourage girls and women to do work and do real work in astronomy and a lot of STEM stuff, not only just astronomy but STEM stuff, and was a mentor and encouragement, would and help her there. So she also pioneered to a lot of, if you go to the American Astronomical Society, you'll find there's a lot of women members who can trace their inspiration back to Vera Rubin, who did her thing. The thing one of her things, she loved globes and ancient globes. She and I share this fascination of globes, because globes are these maps.
God complex. Yep, that's what it is. You guys just want to hold the world in your hands and manipulate it any way you want.
But they also, the maps can tell you, these 3D maps can tell you things, and it's interesting to see globes, ancient globes, what they're like as far as scholar globes and so forth. So, and she was, later on she was, honored, with the National Medal of Science, and it was, and so there's a thing called the Decadal Survey. And the decadal survey is where astronomers get together and say, for the next 10 years, what's important? What is it? What kind of capability do we want? What kind of experiments do we want to do? What do we want to discover? And I was happy to say that this LSST project, this telescope project, and by the way, this is whatever the thing about dark matter here, we're showing you the halo where the galaxy might be here, this little center dot here, but the simulation is the dark matter is this halo around these galaxies. It's big, and it has a strong field, and she was very instrumental in proving that.
I solved dark matter. I figured out what it is. I just thought it just came to me.
What?
Space has topology, and it's screwing up our measurements. So I think that how like when you you're running the vacuum and then you vacuum up like a shoestring or something like that.
Yeah.
And it starts getting away. So that's what's getting like the galaxy has space stuck on its shoe.
Yeah,
like toilet paper coming out of things. So it's space that's getting stuck, and it's space that's screwing up everything.
Take your problem seriously. The evidence that Rubin presented about the excess gravitational field we call dark matter is so strong that people have begun to question whether or not the Newtonian inverse square law upholds at the large scale, right, and whether or not some of the things in relativity can be interpreted to say that things at a larger scale, a cosmic scale, might behave differently than we think, right?
It's a new rule.
And now the modified Newtonian gravity formulas run into problems, and the problems had to do with observation. Some of the observations don't agree with them, and some of those observations actually go back to work that Rubin either pioneered or did. So we don't yet understand what dark matter is, but we're working on it. And so this telescope concept was something, when I was involved with decadal surveys, was a really exciting concept of having a truly unique telescope to image the sky. Prior to the current set of survey telescopes were single things that somebody actually used. You would go to an observatory, and it was your night, and you would take data, and that was it. And we're moving away from that to telescopes that just map the sky, and survey. You say, here's a bunch of data, and rather than reserving time to say, I want to look at this, you look at the data that they collect. They're building a cache of the universe locally.
It's a net instead of a hook.
Yeah, and the notion was saying of having a telescope capable of scanning the sky over time to build a time lapse of the sky. And I'm going to say this important time lapse because there are phenomenon that happens that we miss because we kind of look at the sky as being static. We take a picture and there it is.
Yeah.
But if you take another picture over time in detail, you might notice things happening, like things moving and things changing brightness and things all of a sudden showing up and going away. That's something that this LSST with concept was there. There was a significant challenges to make this, but at the time LSST was deemed to be one of the most important things in astronomy to focus on, and it's now had what's called first light. By first light meaning it's ready, it's working. They did their first sort of test run over some images, and they show that the system is actually exceeding its original design capabilities.
Take off the lens cap.
Yes. and make sure you're focusing correctly. Yeah. This is the observatory in Los Angeles, Chile. This is a very high altitude desert area. So high altitude meaning thinner atmosphere. It's dry desert. It's dry. Less obscuring and stuff. It's a really ideal site. It's one of the best location in the world to observe. Similar to Mauna Kea or the outback in Australia or the South Pole. The problem is that this is a little bit more accessible than the South Pole. And
no spiders in Australia. Snakes. Flying snakes.
The key to survive in the outback of Australia is to go with Australians, or especially some of the indigenous first people there that can keep you alive, right? There, and Maggie, you will appreciate this as data extreme. They're the ones going after land and saying, no, don't touch that. Don't touch that.
What are you,
don't
crazy?
Put that in your mouth. I'll kill you.
Do not touch that frog. The hell's wrong with you?
Yes. So the secret of and I've never had a threatening encounter. I've encountered threatening things, but there have been with Australians who knew what they were doing. So that's the key for us. So yeah, Rubin telescope. Now, what is this telescope? This telescope is a very large telescope, a very complex telescope. Here you see it gets the size from the railing here. This is the main telescope, mirror, and instrument package. And it is a unique telescope. The optics are pretty arrayed. This is the primary mirror just after it's been
I didn't
coated.
even realize what I was looking at.
This is a mirror, right? and the mirror and it says two parts. I'll show more of that stuff. Here's a case of showing you with people, right? Giving you a scale of this, and this thing it doesn't even get to the edges of this thing. This is a mirror. This is a mirror, and it is the LSST optical system is quite complex for various reasons. Most people think parabolic mirror, everything that's fine. You just have this giant parabola, and you focus to a point, and you're done. The problem is that the parabola only works for things that are directly perpendicular to the parabola.
Right.
If you want to be off axis slightly, if you're not careful, the image will smudge in a parabola, right? The stuff coming in slightly off axis will get slurred, will get slewed, right? As you can see here when you go off axis. So you have to begin to correct. Why correct? Because we want this thing to be wide field. We're wanting to take a movie over 10 years of the entire sky many times. And so we need wide angle. And wide angle means you got to do more than just have a parabola. So you can see the primary thing you saw, that was an 8.4 meter mirror that is there. And I should So I recognize we may have people who are metrically challenged.
How dare you? Yeah, how much is that in freedom units?
So 8.4 meters is 27.5 feet. So this mirror is 27.5 feet wide. That's what that thing is, 27 feet from there to there. But you notice there's other things. There's this thing. Well, you see the light comes down and bounces off of the first ring and comes up to this other mirror. This secondary mirror is, I guess in inches, this is 134 inches wide, that bounces it back down to that inner ring. So this inner ring here, which is 5 meters wide, or almost 197 inches, bounces it up through a set of lenses before it gets to the camera. Up here, inside here is the camera, right? So basically, optical field is going through these 3 lenses to flatten the field so that stuff that's off axis, because this is a wide angle lens. You know, and you've ever seen the cameras that have that fisheye lens that get really distorted on the edges?
Yeah, make me sick.
We don't want a fisheye view of the universe. We want accurate positions, and so this lens system is to give us that we call flat 3.5 degree wide field of view. And for a telescope of this size, that's extraordinary. It is a very fast lens. You know, for camera people, this is a f1.2 1.23 lens. This is a effectively fast lens, and it's flat. So that meaning that the light that comes down goes to the sensor without it being off axis, squished and fringy stuff.
Distorted.
Now, to do this, besides you have this extraordinary three mirror system, you have these lenses. These are clear glass lenses that are there to bring lens. Just like in your camera, you have that front lens. You look at your camera on your cell phone, you have that front lens. This thing here is the front lens, but this lens is just this is probably, I think, one of the most impressive things. This lens, so the front lens of the camera is 1.55 meters or 61 inches in diameter. This is a 61-inch diameter lens. This is the largest refractor lens ever made. That doesn't have all kinds of bubbles. And
I was about to say, and they got it right on the first try.
Yes, this is the largest lens ever done, and this was probably when we on the committee looking at the Dick Kilo survey to understand it, saying, okay, this is the priority. We want to build a movie of the nighttime sky over 10 years. But what is it going to take? And one of the concerns was, how are you going to get this image that wide of a field to be not fisheye distorted, to get real coverage? And the challenge was to build this optical system. There were several proposals, but this, having this lens of this size, was something that was a really significant technical problem they had to overcome. So they could say, we want to do this, and so putting up proposals. The group that ended up being one of the heroes of LSST, besides Vera Rubin himself, is the Stanford Linear Accelerator, or SLAC, in Palo Alto, California area. They're known for their 10,000-foot linear accelerator, but they also are known for detectors extraordinaire. It's a famous place for particle physics, but they had people
California gets everything. You guys get all the stuff, whatever. You guys in Boston, you guys just get everything, whatever. We got Fermi Lab, and that's it, whatever.
Yeah.
Fine.
Well, Fermi Lab is a really great place, and it's a thing. But they
only get one
so
the
largest lens that is working in a working observatory today is the 36-inch Great Refractor at Lick Observatory just off San Jose. There's a 40-inch Yerkes, but they built housing levels around Yerkes, and Yerkes essentially is a museum, sadly. But now this one at 61 inches is the world's largest. So this shows you, this is the lens.
Damn.
This is the lens in front of the LCD camera on the Vera Rubin telescope. This is the primary lens, and it's optically perfect. It's like that diamond that is just
perfect
glass. Yes, of stuff, and it was extraordinary feat to build this thing. It's a one of a kind thing, and it's one of the things that is one of three lenses. There are two other lenses that are there. Even the secondary lens is the secondary lens at 1.1 meters, 43 inches, is larger than the now defunct Yerkes telescope, and larger than the Lixers, the secondary lens of that stuff. It has some filters, other things there, but this is something that people fail to. One of the things that's unsung heroes, the ability to make this lens and have it work. You say, what's the problem? You just pour glass. No, you don't just pour glass into a mold. One thing in particular is that even if you have something like Pyrex glass, when it's the liquid state you pour in a mold, the stuff begins to cool. The outside edge begins to cool and harden, but the inside is still warm, which means there's tension. And the tendency, if you're not careful, is for the glass to crack or shatter. And if it doesn't shatter, it's got these strains in it that causes the light to deflect. So if you've ever seen through a polarized lens and you use your polarized sunglasses to look through your automobile windows and you see those little squares, that's done deliberately. That's a tempered glass. This can't be tempered. You don't want this tempered. You don't want those little,
occlusion
square switches in your image, right? You want that thing to be.
We got a question in the chat. Who made the lenses?
I should know that. I just know that the camera was. I believe it was a subcontractor. I believe through SLAC, Stanford Linear Accelerator, that did the camera. So I don't know who is the. I'll find it out. I should have known that, but this is a feat. This was one of the things that take the people that said this telescope's a priority, and we need a wide field for this telescope. We need to overcome some very serious optical stuff. This optical system they have, and these people that worked on the mirror fabrication system, that's for this thing. But this sort of optical set is a
Hey Landon, I looked it up. So this is very annoying, and this is why Landon drives me freaking crazy. The largest lens measuring 1.57 meters in diameter, blah blah blah. LL&L, Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, managed the design and fabrication of lenses, delivering them to SLAC. Like Landon's like, I don't know, probably SLAC. I look it up, it's SLAC.
Yeah. So Lawrence Livermore is the subcontractor. That makes sense because LLL, as they used to be called, Lawrence Livermore Labs, now it's Lawrence National Labs. Used to all be called lasers, because one of the things that Livermore really specialized in is lasers. Lasers, got to say it in that.
Laser.
Yes. And particularly optics, right? You just don't get a bunch of photons squeezing and creating fusion without some very serious optics. And they did it. So
they would be the lens people.
Yeah. So this thing is designed to take a movie. We'll see pictures, but we're going to this is designed to operate for at least 10 years. And this camera system is going to produce 20 terabytes of data every night. It will be able to image the entire nighttime sky from horizon to horizon every 3 nights. And over its 10-year plan, hopefully be extended, it'll generate 60 petabytes of data, of raw data. And one of the things in particular that we talked about on this telescope is we say one person's noise is another person's data.
Right.
We don't want to just take your camera takes an image and it tries to fix things and image correct things and use so-called AI to make your picture prettier.
Fix my razor bumps.
Yes. This is the problem, is that someone's annoying streaks is someone else's asteroid. Someone's fuzzy is someone else's galaxy. Someone's dot is someone's supernova. Right? So you don't want to throw away data because we don't know yet even the questions asked about this data. Here is again the optics of the system. And it has a very unique design. So here's the camera, right? This is the camera that Stanford Lynn Accelerator was the main contractor design. And now we know that the lenses were done by Lawrence Summer Labs. And as you can see, it's got this front lens with a bunch of secondary lenses. And you've got this, you get L1, L2 filter and a final correcting lens before you get the focal plane for the detectors. The detectors is cooled down to a very, very low temperature, and it has a whole bunch of then data collection off the back to pull data off and instrument it. LST is extraordinary, again, an extraordinary optical system. We've seen the front lens, but it also has filters. So what do you mean by filters? Well, this detector in the back here, this is the detector system. This is where the light comes in. You want to be flat, comes in parallel. So all the other stuff is to make sure the light that's off axis parallel comes in straight. This is the detector part, and this detector is just detecting light. So the way you make a color image is you take a picture with the green lens, and then you take a picture with this lens, and this you build up. Basically, you take multiple images of the same thing under different filters. So you take it without a filter, you take it with a blue, a green, a red, a yellow, and so forth. It has essentially 5 there. There's 6. There's a 6th one that can add in, but essentially you take the pictures with these different colors, like red, green, and blue, and you combine them together to give your color image.
Yeah.
Also, that's something where you can take a measurement of a star in the blue wavelength of light, and then maybe in the red wavelength of light, and you look at the difference between those two brightnesses, and you can tell things like the temperature, surface temperature of a star. You could tell lots of other stuff about star age and star mass, and so you can infer from this data. These filters are these filters are actually quite extraordinary in their size and in their precision, where they're notching in. This particular one, I believe, is the red filter, and
it looked like they about to put out a nerd rap album.
Yeah, and so these things again are optically clean. They let in a certain notch of light. So you either take you take a full exposure without filters, then you take a folder with a couple of different filters that give you a notion about information about the spectrum coming in. Here we see the actual telescope itself being installed in the camera here. This is the camera being installed into the telescope at the time of the contractors there. But again, this size, I mean, it's and in terms of it is, if you look at the typical camera in your cell phone, where it might be somewhere, or even a handheld SLR, right? This thing is much larger than that. It weighs about a little over 3 tons. As opposed to a handheld camera that's only maybe a kilogram or so.
Can you go back one slide, or go back to the camera size?
Yeah.
So what if the aliens come down as like, hello, Earthlings, have you committed the crime of spying on your neighbors? And we just got like this giant lens. We're like, Not actually. That is a prototype.
Yeah.
We were never going to point that at the sky. We would never look at other planets. We would never commit that crime. But put the blanket on it. Put the blanket on it.
So, a high-end SLR you could hold in your hand. This thing wouldn't even fit in your car, right? In terms of size, and weighs multiple tons. The background sensor is 3,200 megapixels,
Which is insane.
3,200 megapixels. As opposed to you might be doing good if your SLR is at 50 megapixels in terms of resolution. The other thing is that this camera operates, because remember I said he had this cooler on there. It operates at a minus 100 C, or about 150 Fahrenheit. As opposed
I did not
to
know
room
that.
temperature. Part of the thing is that heat causes electrons in a CCD to boil off, and so you want to have the thing being, you want it to be chill. You want the light to be the thing that knocks out photons off the little buckets, because what is a CCD? It's a charge coupled device. It's a bunch of holders of electrons. You pile up electrons in these little wells, and then the light comes in and knocks out the electrons. And the more light means the more electrons get depleted off of these holes. So you expose the thing, you fill up the holes with electrons. You then expose it for a certain time. You close the shutter, and then you see which sensors, which things got depleted, and how much. That tells you how bright it was. But if it's boiling off electrons just by thermal noise, you're seeing light and the electrons boiling. So they cool it down to minus 150 F, minus 100 C approximately to minimize the noise.
Strange question. So they're on top of a mountain in the middle of the desert. How the hell are they powering this thing? Did they run a freaking cable all the way from town to put it on the grid?
I think so. Yeah, I think the government of Chile, which is really sees their Atacama Desert as a national treasure, that is the sky. It's one of the things that Chilean government said is, our sky is one of our national treasures. We want to share with people, and so they put in power cables trenching it up to these observatories for that reason. And I'll tell you that there is, if you go to the Rubin Observatory, you will see that it is fully in English and Spanish. And this is not a political commentary. It's a fact that Chile is a Spanish-speaking country, and there's a very active STEM and education thing. The kids and classrooms and college universities are also taking advantage of using the observatory. And I'll explain how they do that. So this is a joint, it's a worldwide project that was pioneered by National Science Foundation and the Department of Energy. So DOE, that's where people like Stanford Linear Accelerator and Lawrence Livermore National Labs come to play. But it's also an international project that comes from Chileans who, at least the government appears to value science and education as opposed to just firing people. But we're focusing on positive stuff.
Here, hold on. We got a comment from Scott here. Scott says, incredible how much faster these things are now produced, and the information being got is mint. And that's, and I said a little bit on when the day we had first light or whatever, I was like, normally it's a couple of days before people even realize if it came out or not. You know what I mean? But now it is 20 terabytes a night.
Yeah, you're not taking the film down to the 1 hour photo mat to get your Polaroid.
Walgreens, CVS.
So the image, your typical image of a high-end SLR, you might get a 50 megabyte image. This thing is producing 12.8 gigabytes. The image file that when it takes a picture is 12.8 gigs.
Yeah, I messed around and downloaded one of them. I was like, oh God, this is one? Jesus.
Yes. So it is again, the lens diameter, the largest optical clerical glass lens ever done. Again, yeah, that's if you think about your telephoto lens. This is a wide angle lens. Wide lens is 500 feet or 1 3/4 meters, 1 2/3 meters wide. But there's only one of them, and this is in the Vera Rubin Observatory. There it is, and it is extraordinary. This is again the picture of that camera, which is an important part of the telescope. So we saw the optical stuff. Now the camera sensors are actually quite interesting. Again, wide field of view, and it has on the corners guide sensors. These are sensors that basically make sure that these yellow squares are things where the camera is making sure it's tracking the stars correctly. And then these wavefront things are looking at, even at the high altitude, there still is atmospheric turbulence. And so these are things to figure out how the atmosphere is distorting and allows it to sort of physically move around some of these sensors to try to wobble the noise of the sky.
Are they doing the laser thing? The artificial star thing?
This is not doing the laser thing. In part, you'd have to sit. Well, first of all, it's going all over the sky very rapidly.
Right.
And then you have to have people looking and saying, you don't want to shoot down airplanes and other things like that. It would be considered.
No one's flying over the Andes. You just go around. We all saw the movie. No one wants to get eaten.
Yeah. So it has these things on the corner for helping in the system. Here's a picture of the.
Okay, yeah, they're different
again. And remember, this is a wide thing. This is not a tiny micrograph of your cell phone camera. This is, again, you see the distance is quite.
How big are those tiles?
By the way, right here you see the corner things, the trackers and the wavefront guides, and then these tiles here. As I recall, it's 634 millimeters in diameter is the field.
So like 2 inches.
0.6. I'll convert it. 634. Again, I apologize because I converted to metric a long time ago when the U.S. was going to go there before. Yeah. So this is 25 inches.
Holy.
Wide. This is a 25-inch wide CCD. That little tiny thing in the back of your camera, and I'm talking about the lens. I'm talking about the little tiny thing. If you look carefully in your cell phone camera, you'll see a tiny little speck lens. That's the CCD. This is 24 inches wide. With the 60-inch wide lens system in front of it. And so we can see now it's got a 3.5 degree field of view. That's wide angle. When you make a telescope, if you just have a simple lens configuration, parabolic mirror and a detector, if you double the side diameter of your primary lens, you cut the field of view in half. So as you make so that as the telescopes typically become bigger and bigger, their focus is on smaller and smaller spots. Now you need the coverage, you need the surface area, reflecting area, because you want faint objects to be concentrated, right? The lens is concentrating the light, but you don't want the light just to be splashing on there. You want the light to come in clean and parallel.
And flat,
You have to have little collectors. But the other thing you also want to be able to do is to make sure that it is you get the data off of it. So there is a considerable amount of energy that comes into reading these detectors. So inside one of these squares has these strips of 512 by 2048 pixels that are being read in parallel. So these pixels are 10 microns wide, so 10 micrometers wide. And they're the ones, those are the buckets that fill up electrons, and you expose it, in this case, for 30 seconds, and then you close the shutter and you see who got depleted, and you basically convert all those pixels through a serial register to send data out. So one of these CCDs is a 4K by 4K, right? 16 megapixels is one of these little things there on a raft, which has the ability to shift around for the wavefront guys. They're basically, as the thing is wobbling, they're moving these rafts around to try to make sure they stay during those 30 seconds
Right.
underneath the light coming in. And, as I say, if you look at the Hubble telescope, right? The Hubble telescope, in order to build a picture of the moon, has to take many exposures, because it's got a tiny field of view. This thing, the moon, apparent size of the moon, is small compared with the overall field. And why? Why do you want to do that? Well, part of the thing we want to do is to be able to then collect the data rapidly. So it's going to take these 30-second exposures over the entire nighttime sky, such that every 3 nights it goes back to the same spot. So we will see, we'll re-image this every 3 nights, down to a very fine detail. Not just a wide angle, here's a bunch of pretty stars, but fine detail.
We got a question in the chat.
Sure.
Billy asks a question: could they build another one somewhere else to increase the baseline, like radio telescopes?
Well, the interferometry would be a challenge, but certainly they've tried that with a Keck 10-meter telescopes. To do interferometer at a large distance becomes quite difficult, because you have to hold the position to within a fraction wavelength of light in order to get those light interference stuff. Radio waves can do it, because radio waves are very long frequency, long wavelength stuff. And so you can do a radio wave interferometry. It's very difficult to do it at the optical level. People have tried with things like Keck, where they were 2 telescopes, let's say 50 meters apart. And they've done it on small systems, but it's a very difficult task. The other thing would be is that while the telescope is in the southern hemisphere, it's near the equator, somewhat near the equator, I should say. It does not have the view of the north celestial pole in the region around that. And it would be, one of the things that's being discussed is to build a second system somewhere in the northern hemisphere, in a place that is equivalent, and places like
Chicago.
Well, if you turn off all the lights,
I'm down. Sorry, y'all. Turn that shit off.
But yes, the other thing is not that, but the decision was, okay, let's get the one telescope, the one LSST that we're going to name after Vera Rubin, because she is a person who's worthy of this honor. The other thing is, like, let's learn the lessons from how it operates, so that when we do a northern hemisphere telescope, it has the benefit of lessons learned rather than just 2 of the same mistakes. Because it makes mistakes we made. The things that will say, if we'd done this a little bit better, it would have been there are things that could be improved, even though it's great. And so we want to learn from the experience and say, because again, the data coming off it, we don't even understand the questions are going to be asked.
Right.
And maybe there's a particular type of question for which, if the telescope had been built a little differently, would be better able to answer. So so the data coming off of here, I mentioned, that I mentioned in terms of the size, that this is a very large, a lot of data coming off of it. Ultimately, 20 terabytes a night, 60 petabytes over its 10-year span. But this data, no human can look at it all, right? It's just too much data coming out. So you've got this stream of data that's
challenge accepted
off of this set, going through what we call data brokers, right? First of all, when you take a picture, one thing you want to do is compare it to the last time you took a picture. So you got to pick up that previous image you might have taken a couple nights ago, or something like this, right? That typically what they'll do for a patch, they'll take a 30-second exposure with no filters, and then put a red filter in front of it, a blue filter in front of it, and maybe that's the program. You take several pictures of the same spot over time, but you don't have to take it back to back to back. You can take a picture, wait an hour, and come back to take a picture in red or in blue. The reason why you wait an hour is that there are variable things like asteroids moving and stars that are variable. We don't know they're variable because no one looks at hour after hour.
Right.
This is something it can do. So one of the things that comes out of the data is there's the alert brokers, basically focusing alerts on things saying, hey, something interesting happened here. There's a dot that showed up that we've never seen before. There's a
New
dot that's moving.
New dot.
Now, the problem is if you just have a ding going off every time, oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. We're expecting this observatory to put out over 2 million alerts a night. 2 million bulletins of, oh, something interesting here and here, here, and here, 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 here. So
That's like my email that is completely snowballed out of control.
Just so you know, if you have a phone, a smartphone, you have to control the alert. You don't want to have it tell you every time someone complains about something you said online, right?
Especially since I have a really crass notification alert. It's like a fart noise or something really, really embarrassing in public, and then I get 2 million alerts because that would be embarrassing.
So, for example, they have a bunch of filters, and again, this is an example of one of the filters. It says if it's brighter than 21st magnitude, which is a really faint object, and it was discovered less than 6 days ago, and 2 previous detections exist, then it can pass. So one of the things is just because it's a dot doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be believed. But that's an example of a simple filter saying, let's look at things that are not varying too fast. But maybe if it's consistent, it's something there. And so there's a whole bunch of these. Okay. Go ahead.
Real quick question from Scott in the chat says, will the data be open source?
Yes. And this is the thing that you unlike a typical old style telescope where you say, I want to reserve the Lick telescope to look at this galaxy on this night, and you put in a research proposal and they say no, and you try again 3 years later and you have the night, but it's cloudy. So you try again 6 years later and you finally get your image. No, this is to observe on the Rubin telescope, you data mine. And you data mine either raw data or you data mine the bunch of brokers. Like, for example, this is a system that learning for rapid classification events. So this is something of saying, hey, this is a so there's a whole Python API where you say, I want to learn about what this is. This is a galaxy. This is a star. This is a there's things like, for example, these are open source code, by the way, you can use to go and look for. I want to look for a moving object. I want to look for an object that is constant. I want to look for an object that's slowly drifting. I want to look for a object that is brighter in the red and smaller than and fainter in the blue, but is not near a star that's going to blind it. And you can get these things there. So there's a bunch of these things that we've had, for example, research from Google build sort of cloud alert-based distribution center for stuff that you can grab.
Another question for you from Trip. If light pollution is bad for photography, why don't we just build a basic telescope or get one from Argos? Surely that in space or the moon would get amazing pics.
Yeah, and their telescopes out in space have capabilities that we can't do on the ground. But one of the problems is that to build a spacecraft, that is big enough to be able to do that, right? To put that in a telescope and then to operate and surface it. This telescope is going to be serviced during the daytime. They're going in and doing cleaning. and they're doing calibration stuff. And if a particular sensor, had a bad night, it kept you up at night because it was complaining about it wants a juice box.
Oh my goodness! Wants to sing all night and dance all night.
You need
Clap
to
all night.
You need to be able to handle this. So there's a large observatory team during the daytime that are doing servicing, and doing that up in space as spacewalks is kind of tough.
And then you got the same power issue.
Yeah,
that's a lot of solar panels.
So there is a whole thing that you can go on of data products and Python APIs where you can go and start grabbing this stuff. You can start looking for, if your thing is, I want to discover comets, you can build a comet detector off of the API to then alert you, give that little ding on your cell phone saying new comet here, new comet here, new comet here, right? That's what you want to do. If you want to say, hey, I want to track Halley's Comet, because we can see Halley's Comet, even though it's not on a return thing, we can see way out there. You can just say, give me every 3 nights the Halley Comet picture, or what it's looking like. Because maybe you want to see outbursts of the comet before it comes in. Those are things you can do. And there's a whole API stuff. There's a whole schema set they put out there, all open source. You can start to tap in as these things come. Now, we had their first light where the first science quality images were taken, and we'll look at those in just a moment. But there are also all the whole back-end pipeline, the data pipeline coming from the raw detectors into stuff where it's filtered, or the raw data gathering up. That, as you know, when you deploy the first thing, there's bugs, and they're working out those kinks. But the you can get stuff about how to do things with either the raw exposure of stuff. Here, there's a whole API system you can write code on, and they give you the whole schema where you can start to open source things. And now, as I say, it's a challenge. There's a very detailed data network. So here is the Vera Observatory in Chile. And the air equator is about here, so it's a little bit south, but it has links up to, for example, the SLAC data facility at Stanford. There's also in Houston, there's another observatory management and data production there. There's also a data center in France, and the one in the former United Kingdom. And
the divided kingdom.
Well, it's formerly because eventually when they let Scotland be its independent thing, anyway, different story. So there's a big long-haul network with 200 gigabit links from Santiago, Chile, to Florida, and then another link from Florida to other locations. So they have these 100 gigabit fiber links that are currently there. They'll be upgradable eventually, but this is their current data flow coming off the telescope. And again, this is stuff you can go onto the site, Vera Rubin Observatory.org, and you go to Things for Scientists, and you have there's also a thing about citizen science you can go and look at on that site. That is there. You can learn how to build your own filter, and look at how to grab stuff out of the pipeline and do your own looking, because again, there's so much data coming up. No one is going to be able to see everything. So we need, if you want to build a bot that can classify things, look for interesting stuff, go to it. That's what this is for. It's not proprietary data. It's for everyone to see. So by the numbers, and we'll look at the images just a moment, but again, summary for Vera Rubin, a very significant astronomer for whom is her, she's worthy enough to have her name attached to this great observatory. We're going to produce 1,000 science images a night. And over the lifetime, the 10-year lifetime, I mean, and by lifetime, I mean, they're not going to at 10 years saying, okay, sorry, you're out to pasture, shoot you.
All right, get the hammer. I'm going after that lens.
It has a 10-year span for when for funding, and the what might happen at the end of the 10 years. What it hopefully, if it's shown that it's doing good stuff, which I think it is, it'll be expanded. They might decide, okay, let's upgrade this sensor. Right,
Yeah.
We've had 10 years experience. Now we're going to go and take the inventory down for a winter and put in a new camera. Right, that may be part of how it extends there. So they're not going to throw away the camera or the system at the end of it.
Real quick, we got a super chat from Sharon Douglas. No
Thank
message,
you.
but £1 British pound. Thank you so much, Sharon. Appreciate you so much.
So 2 million full data images. And these images are these 12.8 gigapixel stuff. It goes from the 3200 nanometers. That's a very purplish violet color, down to 1050 nanometers. So if you think about your human eye goes from violet to red. That's about 1 octave on these are frequencies on the piano, right? It would be 1 octave is what you see. 1250 nanometers is about 3 notes beyond it. So we have about an octave and a half wide, a little bit wider than what you can see with your human eye. So it gets into the called near infrared. So each night's going to produce 20 terabytes, 60 million gigabytes over the 10-year span of it. And we expect that this thing every night is going to give us 10 million. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Squirrel, 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 squirrel. There's going to be 10 million squirrels. It's going to discover there. We're going to be able to do 100 visits to the same spot in the sky every year. So the same spot in the sky is going to get 100 visits. And that's extraordinary that every spot in the sky that's visible from horizon 100 visits. Now you say, well, what does that mean? I thought there's 365 days. Well, some days it does get cloudy. There on occasion, it's rare. And also some days there might be a thing where they go and fix something. They may have to come in and clean the mirror, a front mirror, so forth. So there are some downtimes, but basically on a 365 or 366 day year, they'll get about 300 observable nights a year, as we're expecting. And so for those that understand about the sky area, it's going to go from plus 12 degrees declination down to minus 72 degrees declination, which is why you might want to put something in Antarctica, and you might want something up in high northern latitudes for there. We expect that over the 10-year period, we're going to discover 20 billion new galaxies, 17 billion new stars, 10 million supernovas, stars that are exploding in a lifetime, and 6 million solar system objects. What do you mean by that? Asteroids, comets, dwarf planets, things in our solar system moving around.
Finally, Planet X.
And I predict that those people that have made their ridiculous scientific meme about Planet 9, I think we're going to finally put the nail in that coffin to say, cut it out. The anomalies we're seeing are because stars come nearby our Oort cloud and disturb it. And that's why you see these perturbations. Stop thinking, oh, I can disrespect Pluto and so forth. Yeah. Get a scientific life and do something more constructive. The LSST, their Rubin is going to pay. They put the nail in the coffin and say, no, there's not some big mega planet out there we have missed.
It's just black, Landon. The surface is black. That's why you can't see it.
Now, if
there's a whole civilization that has no radio signals, no anything, but they're out there.
Now, will it find Pluto-sized objects out there? You betcha, right? But you can come back and laugh at me saying your prediction was wrong. if it turns out it finds some Neptune-based thing. But anything, substantially bigger than Pluto, which is a dwarf planet. Pluto is a dwarf planet, so is Charon. Dwarf planets are planets, because just like dwarf people are people, dwarf stars are stars, dwarf galaxies are galaxies, dwarf planets are planets, they're a type of planet.
The
But
moon
we're-
should be
we're
a
talking
dwarf
about-
planet.
It is.
Oh,
What if we find? What if we find a Death
our
Star?
moon is a dwarf planet.
what did you say, Tim?
What if we find a Death Star?
Landon, did you and your scientist friends think of that? What if there is like I gotta have a little fun with this. What if there is like a ship with a laser pointed right at us?
What about a
they're
Star
using-
Killer base?
Let's start doing some ramen cloaking device thing.
Yeah, a bird of prey.
Then we might not say so. Yeah, you could laugh at me saying your prediction was wrong, but my prediction is that the work that the people have been trying to extract funds for to search for their so-called super Earth in our solar system, their Neptune that tries to explain stuff. Everyone's going to basically say, yeah, right, and this is the observatory that's going to. But on the other hand, I'll give you a thing that maybe I would say there may be like I would put about a 3% chance that we'll find an Earth-sized or bigger object out there that we didn't know. But Rubin will tell. So
I'm just picturing the bird of prey calls Earth, and it's like, we would like to speak to your leader, and then Trump runs over and grabs the phone. And we're like, no, Jesus, no, God, no, not him. Don't talk to him.
I guess he was kept away from the observatory because otherwise he would have taken that camera detector and put it in the Oval Office like he swiped the
soccer medal. Just a klepto. Just oligarchs.
$240,000 worth of trophy that he's like mine. So he's not taking this thing. Anyway, so
you have an order from Google Eats. Google Eats, Mr. Noll, your order of One Planet 9 has shipped. You may be also interested in an Atlantis detection kit. Thank you, Google Eats.
Yeah. So there is a whole, but there were 435 people involved in the building of this telescope, more than 30 countries, and it employs 130 full-time people, 80 in the United States and 50 in Chile. It has over 2,800 collaborators, and you can go to the site. You can download the schema. You can download the look at code stuff and begin to build your own looky-loos on that. So I say there's a lot of information there for for scientists there and for citizen science and instruments and telescopes, and tell you about all the resources there for it and code and so forth. So go for it. Let's look at what this thing does, shall we?
Yeah.
Unless you want to take a break.
Tim's taking a break. Oh, there he is.
I was petting a dog.
Was it a good dog?
Mostly.
All right.
I want to show. You want to take a break, or do you want to look at, because we're going deep dive into some of these images?
No, we're good.
All right. So first thing we're going to do is this is made up of capturing images from 10 million galaxies in this particular thing. This video we're going to watch has only 0.05% of the galaxies that it will capture in its 10-year lifespan. So let's go and look at it. Here it is. Oops, I guess it's as big as it's going to go. We're going to go into detail on this thing, but look at all those galaxies.
That's crazy.
There are 10 million galaxies in this image. 10 million galaxies in this image. Oh, I guess I should have done that. Sorry.
There we go.
All right.
Oh,
So-
and here I have to call you up.
Yeah.
I don't know if you still have it available, but like the large picture of the telescope, you forgot to mention how fast it is.
Yes.
And even though it's this big, 6,000-pound thing, it is incredibly agile.
Yes, it's able to move quite fast, zipping around the sky, and building these sort of. So when it's doing this picture stuff, that's it's moving around. This is a debris field, and when the telescope is operating, there's interlocks saying don't even go inside the room. Right? There's very intricate interlocks because this thing will knock you on your ass.
Grind your
if you're
bones to make it spread.
So let's look at it. The Trifid and Lagoon Nebula are really popular images if you have even a modest-sized telescope. And we're going to look at this.
Before we take a look,
here.
we got a super chat from Kate Smith. £1.99. I don't know how to say decimals for my British pounds. 1.99 British pounds. Could alien civilizations have previously existed? Asks Kate.
I would suspect that I mean, first of all, I would be shocked. I would be shocked, very much shocked, if we were alone. I think that so I'm guessing we haven't detected anything yet, but I'm guessing that if we're not alone, there's life elsewhere. Some of that life has come and gone, and we're probably in the middle of all of that stuff. But space is really big, and we haven't yet been able to fully understand that. I want to look again back at this galaxy set here, in full view, right? And again, so these are galaxies here, but I believe almost all of these dots you're seeing are galaxies, right? Again, there's 10 million galaxies in this image alone. And some people, like, for example, looking back in time, if you look at these really small red dots like this, these are galaxies that are way out there, that their light has been so redshifted, they're only showing up in the dim red and near infrared. These are things. If you're looking back in the dawn of the Big Bang time, these faint little red things are important things to look at. And you also see more distant galaxies that are irregular, but you also can see some other things, like, for example, again, these are nearby galaxies, but again, all these are galaxies. There's a couple of stars.
And I did recognize something. I don't know if it was you that told me, but I'm pretty sure it was you. The spikes on the nearer stars and stuff like that, being the arms of the telescope.
Yes, from refraction of the spider that holds up that is a product of that sort of thing.
I don't know if you told me that or if I saw that on Star Talk, but I think it might have been you.
Yeah, and Hubble has its set of 3. Webb has its set of 6.
Like you can tell from the distortion which camera it's from.
Yeah,
or which telescope.
But here's again, let's look at this. Here's a galaxy. It's edge on, right? We're seeing it. This one is face on here, but it's edge on here. Now, some of these might be. I'm looking for some galactic lensing. So some of these big galaxies can cause distortion of another galaxy that's behind it to be lensed. But if we look at more, here's an interesting set. Let's look at this spot up here. You see, there's this jet coming out of this galaxy, right? I presume we see 2 galaxies here, kind of superposing each other. This is a star here, but there's a jet coming out here. It's hard to see in that image, but this is a star. You see the spikes, and the reason, by the way, here's a star. You talk about the spikes. The reason why the spikes are colored is that you're dealing with a red, green, and blue filter. So the orientation of the telescope was slightly different. The result is that the spikes have this color wash. And by the way, there's data software to remove those spikes because they know where the orientation of the telescope. And they know how to remove those things. It's one of the data products you can use on the pipeline. But again, you want to record the. So here's an interesting galaxy cluster. I presume a bunch of galaxies I'm presuming these are nearby to each other. And I don't know if this is a dominant one in front or not. We'll be able to know. This is probably a very red dwarf stars nearby. Again, this image, again, it's so detailed you can't show on your monitor, right? It would require one image requires 400 4K monitors just to show it. One image from this telescope, 1/32 exposure, requires 400 4K monitors.
I'm gonna break into Best Buy with a jump drive with a picture on it. I need to know.
That's
just laid them all out on the floor. Like, sir, what are you doing? I just want to see. Don't stop me.
So this is why it's very important that you have the raw data, including all the spikes, bits, and noise stuff, because of things. So you can see the halo. Again, its color halo. This is because of you took several filters, and so you're seeing the overlay. Because this particular star, you can see it has a couple of spikes here, but this star, bright object, I assume it's a star, has a different brightness in the red than it is in the green. So it's diffraction fuzz. It's slightly larger, which is why you get these colored rings. Now, again, software can take that out, image processing, but you image process them. You record the raw data, you image process it for people who want to see clean stars. Other people, this gives you data on the color of the star. What does the color do? Color tells you the temperature of the star. It tells you and given the brightness, it can tell you the mass and the age and other things like that. There's a lot of data there. That
looks like a McDonald's to me.
Again, someone's noise, this annoying halo, is someone else's data. That's one of the principles.
And also, like, because I keep saying because she's going to be taking images like this. If anybody goes in front of there or gets through that wash, like all these super bright like, can't you do some spectroscopy through all of this light? Like, absolutely. There's tons, like, with this much light coming in, now anything that comes in front of it, we can see if it has an atmosphere. We can see all kinds of cool stuff now. Its size
and stuff. But you also see there's also things you can see. Like, for example, there's these stars here. I don't know if this is this might be a moving object, and so we see two things where it might be pair of stars. I don't know. You have to see from other items there, but you also can see, like, here's a galaxy that's got fairly develops two spiral arms on the side. This is a fairly dumb object, but let's look at. There's another spot here that I think.
I mean, that's just nuts. That's just nuts.
Look at, again, we had to zoom in, and we're not zoomed in all the way, but we're at to zoom in a little bit just to start seeing this flock of galaxies. And one of the things that Vera Rubin did was to take the spectrograph on some of these brighter galaxies given because of a 2.1 meter telescope and start to measure Doppler shifts, subtle changes in color between this side of the galaxy and that side of the galaxy. Why? Particularly on the edge-on ones like this one here, the side that's coming towards us is going to be what? It's going to be blue shifted. The side that's going away from it's going to be red shifted.
Right.
So she did a lot of measuring the painstaking color changes across faces, particularly of the edge-on galaxies, because they have a more dramatic effect, to show how fast these galaxies are rotating and saying they're rotating so fast they should be flying apart. There's, like, on average about 6 times more gravitational field than we can account for with stuff to make it. Hence, this concept of people like Zwicky had about what we now call dark matter is scientifically validated. Right?
We got a
Before
super
it was
chat.
a fringe theory. Go ahead.
Super chat from My Unfinished Journey, $2.22. Hail Mikey and Tim and Landon and hail the universe.
They can hail you for supporting this channel. Small
unfinished journey.
contributions like yours matter because they add up.
By viewers like you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So look at
Tote bags in the mail.
Swag.
look at these galaxies and we're looking at more detail.
Yeah,
that
look
are
at
all kind of they've had some encounters. They've had some
They've been dancing.
or even more so.
Oh, the dance is over. Now for little
And
galaxies.
this is just a small. This is one. Again, this shows you the size of one image. So this was a set of a couple of images across here, where they take picture. So you get to see the size of one image. That one image will require 400 4K monitors to display it in full, from one 3-second exposure, and it goes click, 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 click. That's going to do all night.
I'm going to need to buy a VR headset for when this movie comes out, because that is about to be the sickest movie that has ever existed.
And that's the thing. It's a time-based movie. We're building the movie of what we can see in the universe over time, because there's a lot of stuff in that time thing. So let's look at the Lagoon and Trifid Nebula. They are beautiful objects even in a modest-sized telescope.
Look at all this, because are those stars, you would say, or galaxies back there?
This is a star field. So we're looking deep into our galaxy, the core of our galaxy. And we're seeing this dark stuff are clouds, molecular clouds that absorb light. And block light behind it. And then there are gases being excited. There is gases that are being excited because the radiation from stars, like the stars that are inside here, causes it to fluoresce or glow. There's other ones that reflect light. So you have reflection nebula stuff and emission nebulas in here.
We don't get nothing to see in the northern hemisphere. I'm moving.
This is a northern hemisphere object. You can see this.
What? I'm moving out into the country.
Yeah. So here's the size of the full moon. Lagoon and Trifid. So if you've got a reasonably dark sky, your eye is not good at seeing color, faint color. But in binoculars, you begin to see this stuff. And in the sky, you see this kind of extended fuzzy blob here. And this blob here. These are things you can see with your naked eye. But they're kind of fuzzy blobs up in the sky. Here's the full moon over here. You see in scale, right? So yeah, this is something you can see even in the northern hemisphere.
The moon's only 1 degree, less than 1 degree.
Yeah, half degree. It's half degrees diameter, angular diameter, right? Same as the sun, approximately.
Yeah,
33. It depends on how far we are in that sort of thing. But right. Yeah, so look at how it just drills down in.
Jeez.
Right? And we're not zoomed in all the way. Right? But we can see now here, there are some star forming. These are sorts of young stars being created inside this nebula. And there's these gas clouds being blown away by the winds from these bright, hot stars that their radiation is pushing and clearing out the dust from the formation.
Scott in the chat has a question. The colors in these images are added in, though, are they not?
These are real
fake.
These are real colors. So it you have up to 5 filters are there. This pad, I believe, has a red, green, and blue. So you take a picture, a 30-second exposure with no filter, a 30-second exposure with a red filter allowing just red light, 30-second exposure with a green filter, and 30-second exposure of the blue filter. So you combine those images together to build your composites. This is real color. If your eye was really good at detecting light, you'd see this. You'd see these colors. These are not. Now it does have. This one doesn't have the near infrared stuff because obviously that that's not a color you can see.
I
This is
can.
just a red, green, blue.
I can see the infrared. It is very taxing, though. It burns my eyes, so I don't do it a lot.
Yeah, but you can see you see here's a young star still with its afterbirth
Yeah.
gases around it. They're inside here, inside this nebula. You see these are very, very new stars that have just switched on. The collapse, gravitational collapse, has caused the hydrogen in there to squeeze the point and begin to fuse, and they flash on, and are starting to the radiation starting to blow out the lagoon stuff. So all these are very small, and there's lots and lots of stars in there, big stars and little stars that are being burst.
Trip asks, go ahead, Tim.
Oh, is it true that space has a smell?
Jerky. Smells like jerky. Gas
Well, it
station.
depends
beef
upon where you are. So the smell would be very, 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 very faint because there's not much stuff out there in space.
Not a lot to smell.
So you'd be sniffing a long time before you pick up this, but you could concentrate it. Now it depends upon what you're concentrating. For example, there are sulfur compounds out there. There are methane compounds. There's
Smelly.
I think, and
Space
some of
is
those
like
there's
Kool-Aid.
cyanide. There's a cyanide out there that you probably don't want to
Oh no, don't smell that one.
But again, here's an example of one of those pillar creation type stars where you can see it still has got its afterbirth around it. But these stars here switched on earlier, and the radiation is creating wind and pushing away the nebula around this particular one. If this star has this stuff around here, will accrete to form planets. So this star is going to probably have some planets. This star up here, so we're talking about this one up here, is wind, creating wind for this one down here, and it eventually will blow away its afterbirth, and will be left behind are the planets. Now, maybe not as many planets because this one has pushed it out, but there's no doubt has enough mass around it. This is called a protoplanetary disk, where planets will form eventually.
We should just start heading there, because by the time we get there, there should be a very nice planet for us.
Yeah, but again, look at the stars in this thing drilling down in. And then these are things here where again, I don't know, I'm not as familiar with this dark nebula, again called dark nebula because it's absorbing light from behind. And I don't know if this star is connected with this star or not, because I'm not familiar with the structure. But it's possible that there was material that this star blew this stuff back, exposing the star here. What's up again? And again, you see stars as they are colors. Now, the reason why you don't see green stars has to do with the way the stars glow. The stars that are relatively cold or red shifted because they're very far away, you just see the red bits. But as it becomes hotter and hotter, you start to get the oranges, the yellows, and then it becomes white because now you have the full spectrum. You have everything red up through violet. And it gets hotter and hotter. That curve starts to move forward. You start to lose the reds and the oranges and becomes blue. By the time and so the greens are there, they're just kind of washed in with the rest of the stuff. So when you see stuff that's white, it's green, but the other things are kind of filtered. Now you can put a green filter in front of it to see the green bits alone, but the green, blue, and red are combining.
I heard that our sun is a little green.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the overall color is white.
Right.
One of the dominant frequencies is yellow, and it's not as bright in the blue, but our sun is blue, right? And you say, well, what do you mean it's blue? Go out on a clear day, right? Cloudless day, and look at the sky on the day. What do you see? What color do you see? What
blue
color
sky.
do you see? Yeah, that blue comes from the sun. right? The blue in our atmosphere scatters, right? It's like a fog, the called Rayleigh scattering, the oxygen nitrogen phenomenon, where it scatters the blue light. So if we didn't have an atmosphere, the sky would be mostly black with little dots in it, and the sun would be a little bit. But the blue light of the sun is Rayleigh scattered through the light. When you look out on the sky, you're seeing the surface of the sun that's been scattered, and that's the but because it's the blue light that gets scattered and not the red, our sky isn't super bright. But yeah, you're seeing the blue sky is from the sun, from the surface of the sun, just being scattered in the Rayleigh fog. That's why the sky's blue. By the way, the sky's blue at night too. It's just a fade blue, right? So it doesn't stop at nighttime. It still stays blue because we still have oxygen there. Well, let's look at look out and look at the detail of that stuff,
man.
So we got a couple other ones there. If you more of this thing, so looking in this stuff here again, we can see, like Messier 21. This is a star cluster in there that we saw. This is a big image, so give me some time to download it. I thought I had pre-downloaded it, but it's going there.
It's a big one.
And so I'm going to go up here to do. Yeah. So this one is in fact it's causing the system. So you can see that this is the detail of the stars inside this image, right? Here is a cluster of stars.
Jeez.
Right. We're looking down. We're zoomed all the way in. This is inside that. These are stars, and there's galaxies behind it. Here's a little Mission Nebula. Here's an interesting star with a part of this little cocoon there.
Little planetary disk action.
Yeah. Oh, look at this.
A comet or an asteroid.
Well, I wonder if this may be could this be a gravitational lensed distortion, or could it be just a gas cloud? I don't know. I've never seen that before. Here's some dark evidence. These emission evidence where it's absorbing the light behind it.
Space is crowded. We're gonna have to find a new galaxy. There's too much stuff. There's a lot of stuff in here. I'm feeling stuffy.
And this will take us a long time to scan around because it's like 400 monitors wide. It has to page in. If I page too fast, if I zoom out,
we got to go to the Cowboy Stadium. They got that biggest TV, right? The Jumbotron.
Oh yeah.
We got to put all the images up there, and then we can just sit in the crowd and watch it. Oh my God! They should play the movie when the movie comes out. They should play it at football arenas.
That'd be cool.
So on the Jumbotron.
So this is this star cluster that's seen where it's a dense. I mean, this is a dense pile of stars. Look at that star cluster, right? Of stuff, and you say, well, where is that? Well, if we zoom out here and go back to the original image, let's go back here, and go back farther. We'll see. I guess from here, this was this pile of stars over here, right? And again, we're looking at that. So there's a lot of data in there. There's a lot of stuff that you can begin to just drill down in, and we saw things. Yeah, it's down this pile down here
because we're gonna get because the Rubin's gonna be getting so much data so quickly. We're gonna be able to get like like orbits for all this stuff, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean, and like, oh
Yeah.
man.
So let's talk about that. That's a really good time to talk about the rhythm of the stars. So first of all, we talk about again the time lapse bit. Stars vary in brightness, and in fact, this thing found this again its first set of stuff here. And you see stuff here, and you say, well, that's star, right? It's a variable star. What do you mean by that? Well, they took a picture in May 3rd. It was this bright, and there's a and I'm
wow.
this is
day.
Same day. 30 minutes later, it's now 30% brighter.
We would have never found that before.
We never knew. There are stars we know that have months, right? They vary in brightness of months, because people say, "Oh, it's December this way, April this way." Okay, this is.
It could have been changing daily. Yeah, it could have been changing 16 times a day, and we would have never known.
Because people take a picture and then they move on, and no one comes back to stuff and say, "Hey," because who's going to pay attention to that star? Well, we did. The data pipeline did.
I'm with whoever said it before. We need another telescope while the other one is on downtime. Have a second one running on the other side of the world. Just start firing them up in sequence, because we can't let 30 minutes slide, apparently. Because
so let's look at another. So that's a variable star there. Let's look at another variable star over here, right? That one. You say, well, why did it pay attention to that one? Well, because on May 2nd, just
in 12
minutes later, it's 11% brighter. That star is that's fast variable, right? That I don't think everyone has ever known that star varied that fast. And that says something fits about what's going on there. That's a pretty pulsy for a star to vary its brightness by 11%.
We would not survive that.
Yeah, and I don't know I don't know if this is a cyclic thing, which would be really interesting, or it's an outburst. Or the major solar flare.
Or who knows, something in the way.
Right. Okay. That's another one, right? And goes over here. Here's one. I'm going to tell you 20% brighter. Now again, we were panning around. We missed this stuff, right? This is why you need these data pipelines to sit and say, hey, blah, blah, blah. It just changed in brightness. Did you notice that?
Is that a binary star system, you think? Or are they isolating the one on the left there?
So that's a possibility. That there could be it could be having a big planet that happens to pass in front, and it's dim. If it's normally this bright here and it dim here, maybe because it has a planet in front of it that passed in front of it to give it a little eclipse action, right?
A little super Jupiter. Maybe
it's a binary system, as you said, and the companion is faint, but it blocks light when it's in front. Or maybe it's a very active, flary surface that outbursty.
Because I can imagine in 3D terms, like this is a binary star system, and they're just kind of almost edge on with us. So it might look like it's dimming and brightening, but actually it's two stars, and they're just doing the
I don't know if that is a because it's referring to this more bluish dot, right? There's other stars in the background. I don't know if that's just a line of sight, because hey, if you pile a bunch of stars, there's gonna be stuff in the line of sight. Not necessarily that these two are close. You'd have to do data analysis, which you could build your own Python pipeline to do that. By the way, in this image where they took the red, green, and blue over this period of time, these circles are new variable stars discovered in just one image that no one knew was variable.
What are we gonna do, Landon? The whole world is about to go crazy. This is nuts. This is like there's discovery, and then there's this
pulsing back and forth, right? So I'm regularly going to go back and say, okay, go back there and tell us again. So it added variable star counter. Hey, by the way, here's a bunch of variable stars you didn't probably know it was there, right? So and here's I didn't know there's a star here because of this galaxy kind of made in the background shining it. But yeah, That's just an example of just one small, because we were scanning over that thing and looking at all those pretty stars. Well, we missed all these variable stars, which could be solar flares. It could be that it's that the star is pulsing because of a turbulence inside. It could be that it's got a planet eclipsing it. It could be it's got a binary companion that blocks it, or gas.
Maybe the gas right at us.
That's a passing by, right?
Death Star.
So yeah, that's an example of a data. Now, so we talk about things varying in brightness, but here is probably, because I'm a planetary scientist, this is what really excited me. This is the cool stuff. So same image, and we notice there's a star, but the galaxy, but there's an asteroid. The object moved. You see, during those pictures of time, it went. That's another one there. That's another one there. Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one.
We're surrounded.
More and more of stuff.
This neighborhood's too crowded.
You have to sweep up all the. Oh my God!
These are all of the moving objects when it did the red, green, blue for those 40-second exposures that it found. Look at these guys. Some of them are booking, some are going slow, some are fast.
Some of them are alien spaceships. Please be an alien spaceship.
Look at that one really fast, right? And this is probably the. So again, I want to show you. Let's look at. This one's right in the free field. So there were 1,000 new ones, 1,300 the next night, and 1,300 the next night, 1,600 the next night, right? So on these things after 7 nights, they discovered. So after 7, they did 36 exposures over 7 nights. Because why did we do that? Because they wanted to be able to show that they go back to the same spot and take another picture the next night, the next night, the next night. They just took those 36 exposures, combined over 7 nights. Over 2,000 asteroids we never knew existed were added to the catalog. 2,000 over 7 nights. Now, in the entire astronomy, for a good year, we find maybe, if we're lucky, 10,000 new asteroids in a year, all the telescopes in the world. This thing in 7 nights found 1/5 of that over 7 sets of 30-second exposures.
And the traditional way is just you got to get lucky, and it has to pass in front of something, because the asteroids aren't giving off any light, so they're just out there floating. But they need to kind of be like against either like a solid background that you kind of know, so you can track the movement. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's impossible for me to just go out there and be like, all right, let me just go find the asteroids, because they're not reflecting anything, so I can't see them.
And so this is from a small patch in the sky that looked at, right? The Vera Rubin Observatory will, in its 10-year span, is expected, covering the sky, is expected to discover more asteroids than the entire history of the world, of all the telescopes, by an order of magnitude. It'll be probably an order of magnitude more asteroids that this thing will discover in its 10-year run than the entire history of asteroids on Earth.
And I mean, we'll be able to like track them and see where they are, but couldn't we see like if there was any kind of motion or if anything kind of passed through?
But that's why you want to see that. That's why you need to see. It's why it's important in the movie, because again, if we look at the dots, right? Watch the dots going through here, and we'll go back when it goes to this day 1. See, some dots are moving fast because they're closer to the Earth. Some are slow. Some are very far out there, just barely moving. Others are really booking across the sky. So the distances are there. Now, this small patch of sky, right, is if you look at where the Earth was with relative to the sun, we were looking in this direction, right? And so we saw a bunch of fast-moving stuff in Earth zone, but we also saw stuff out farther. There's stuff just in this one thin thing. It discovered some distant ones. These are out at the distance of Jupiter. These are things tagging along behind Jupiter. Jupiter is older. Was over here.
I mean, don't like this is kind of in the weeds, but not really. But don't we kind of have like a tugboat effect? So we have like a wake in front of us of some space debris, and then behind us we have like a trough of like space trash that just kind of it's just like kind of like stuck in like the Lagrangian points of like and they're just kind of towing them around.
Ours, because of our moon as well, and we're relatively lightweight compared with Jupiter or Saturn, right? We're there. So what we're seeing, what you're seeing, this donut thing here, this is the asteroid belt. So we're looking out past asteroid belt, and these are stuff that are Jupiter and beyond. Again, and just one little thin sliver, right? One little thin sliver. It did in 7 consecutive nights what the entire rest of the world's telescopes might do in a couple months, and it will, in its 10-year lifetime, produce more than 10 times the number of new asteroids than the entire history of astronomy. Right, will be there. So it's going to find lots and lots of these little moving dots. And again, this is a there's a lot of detail inside here that are known, but there's a lot of detail that we don't know, and particularly the time and variable stuff, as well as detailed spectrum, right? So when we, again, I'm fascinated by these set of galaxies here. I didn't know, even in other images, I didn't know that there was connecting material, or looks like connecting material, right? Look at what's going on with these galaxies that are obviously entangled and having this interaction. This was not known before. These galaxies were known, but we didn't know that there were these streaks of material that were obviously they passed by each other and gravitationally taffy pulled themselves out.
Love it.
Of stuff. Again, these are the spikes you can see from the colors, depending on, so it's a 4-spike telescope, but depending upon its orientation, right? Because when it takes a picture of a different part of the sky, it's angled slightly differently, so the spikes rotate around. But because we know where the telescope was and its orientation, where the spikes are, you can get software to remove them. However, this also gives you a spectrum, right? You get this nice spectral data. So it might obscure, when it's composite, galaxies around it, but that one person's noise is another person's spectral data, right? If you're trying to hunt for asteroids, it's like it just happened to be glare in that spot. Well, you can fix that in data. These beautiful spiral galaxies we're looking on there, again, this would be something. This would be less. Rubin tended to look at galaxies that were edge on, like this one here, right? Why? Because maybe this side is moving towards us, this side's moving away from it, and it's spinning. It's spinning like this, and she would take the spectrum of stars here and spectrum of stars here and compare very finely and see the very fine frequency shift to be able to determine how fast this galaxy is rotating. And she would take not just one data, but she'd take multiple exposures, come back later, just to make sure you hadn't made a mistake. And if she got a consistent data and say, this galaxy is spinning this fast, right? Put it down in the catalog. So when she published her paper with her data, it was unquestionable. It was solid data, and I think Rubin would approve of what this thing is going to be able to do. But again, the detail inside this thing is these images are just incredible. Here's an interesting. I was intrigued by this particular image, part of the image.
Here, before we jump into that, I have a funny question.
Sure.
What would be your zip code if you lived in some of that connected material between galaxies? Landon, you found the world's largest prime a couple of times. How many digits was that number?
Oh, mine was only like mine were. Well, the largest one I did was around 45,000 digits. I mean, I did one 7,000, almost 7,000 digits. Another one's almost 7,000 digits, and then but they're now in the millions of digits. So we're because it's the largest known digits. We now know bigger ones.
So at least 45 digits long.
Yeah.
Minimum.
No. Are you talking about the size of the primes I found?
Yeah.
Well, yes, it is. It is. It is 45 because like almost 7,000. The pair almost 7,000. There's some ones around. I think it's around 40,000 or so. They're industrial size primes. 40,000 digits, right? That's
40,000 digits is not fair.
That's a lot of digits.
Yeah. Now
my calculator does not do millions of digits.
Yeah, they're now in the many millions of digits. It's
There's primes up there.
Oh yeah. There's an infinite number of primes, but people don't discover. So the stuff I did, but that was back in the late 70s, to early 80s, early 90s. It pioneered some really important techniques that are being used now by many other people. So let's look at this. Let's look at this galaxy here. And there's an intriguing thing of this. This has never been seen before. There's this jet here that's hitting.
Oh yeah.
And there's an opposite jet. I can see it as well going this way. Do you see there's a jet coming out here?
Yeah.
There's a jet going up there. Now it causes the glow. So possible explanation, molecular explanation. There's a massive black hole in the center of this galaxy, and it's on a feeding frenzy. And you say, well, but don't black holes not let light go? Yes, the light that goes into the black hole stays there. But the stuff that's on the whirlpool surrounding the accretion disk that's spiraling down gets squeezed to very enormous pressures, elevated to very, very high temperatures, and it radiates in all directions, but perpendicular to the spiral, perpendicular to the whirlpool. That disk that's not yet reached the black hole heats to high temperature and sends radiation perpendicular up and down. And so this is an example that there's very likely a massive black hole.
Just to put some like textures and visuals on this thing. So like we got the mass of gas that's on the outside, and it's a sphere, but that sphere is trying to get into a point. So to get into that point, all the little individual, let's say like a ball pit balls, all those have to get towards the center. They're going to spiral their way in as opposed to just direct. I mean, I did see some stuff about like direct collapsed black holes, like early black holes, where everything just kind of shook, like sunken earth style. But typically what'll happen is this one will start pushing that one, and then they eventually start making like a whirlpool shape. But not like in like it's a whirlpool in all directions, but like in a literal whirlpool sense.
But it flattens on a disk.
Right.
Because there's an angular momentum. And so the things that are on the that are perpendicular to the axis of rotation get flung outward, but the gravity's smashing. So you end up pancaking. The stuff which is near the poles falls directly in. The stuff that's on the equator of the spinning
gets to survive another lap.
gets thrown out, but so it's being centrifugally and centrifugally smashed, as well as incoming material heats up to very high temperatures, and lots of radiation sends stuff perpendicular to the jets. And these are, this is many light years in stuff. This jet obviously hits something. So it's got these fire hoses of material radiating off of the disk of infalling material that send stuff out. If we were looking down this beam, we'd see a quasar.
Right. Or a blazar then, right? Because it's pointed at us.
And so, but there's a little bit of dark stuff here. If you notice this spot here, seems a little bit darker. It's as
Atmosphere?
if this material ran into a dark cloud, and it's shining on the edge of the dark cloud.
Right.
Right. This beam, on the other hand, goes much farther out. There, out here. Now there's this other galaxy here with its own.
Is it
arms.
eating the jet? It looks like it's eating the jet.
Or this could be in a foreground or background. We don't know.
Yeah.
Right. You have to look at one thing you do. You look at the spectrum. You look at the red, green, and blue, and get an idea about how redshifted this is compared with how redshifted this is.
Right. They might be light years apart.
But there's some active. We call this an active, active, AGN. And now this is known as an active galaxy. So what you'd ask the radio telescope people to do is to say, go check out radio waves and tell us. And it's possible that the radio waves will see the intensity of the jet somewhere down here, to see the loads, but also this is a fire hose hitting some gas cloud here, and the shock front of those high energy particles hitting this gas cloud and pounding it into it is going to create a whole bunch of radio stuff going on in here. And so Rubin can then tell radio telescope people, "Yo, check out this spot."
Maybe we can have the Chandra look at it. Oh wait,
Yeah,
we can't because they turned it off because they're bastards. That was our last X-ray telescope. You pieces of shit.
Yes. Well,
No, we don't have one.
Yeah, well, it's much more important. That's okay. ICE, needs to find people that look like Chandrasekhar.
Man,
He's by the way, Chandrasekhar was an amazing astrophysicist and computational physicist who was able to model some things like figure out when you pile a bunch of neutrons together, at what point does it go punk? I mean, when you pile up material on a white dwarf, at what point it goes bang, right? He was able to establish the limits of that stuff, called the Chandrasekhar limit.
For supercritical?
Yeah, for going supercritical on the stars going supercritical, or neutron stars collapsing, right? Or white dwarfs turning into neutron stars. He figured out the physics applying stuff. That's just why he's honored with a great telescope. But yeah, so this is
Sons of Mice is right. What happens in black holes stays in black holes, like Vegas.
Yes, except for the slow Hawking radiation leak. But the stuff near the black hole is fine. So if you have a black hole that's not rotating, and let's say the event horizon, the point of no return is, we'll call that 1, that radius 1, right? So you got this hole of radius 1, where if you're less than 1, you go in and you stay in, right? Orbits that are at 3 are stable, right? The things orbiting at distance 3 will stay unless something bumps them in. You can go up to 3 and orbit all you want. The problem is that there's stuff bumping around and being nudged in. And if you get kicked over the limit, then you start to spiral in, right? So things on a non-rotating black hole, the stuff that's 3 can stay there. The stuff that's less than 3 eventually spirals in. Now, as the black hole spins up, gets faster and faster, that string of 3 shrinks, such that if the black hole were spinning at near the edge of the equator, spinning near the speed of light, the radius of stable orbs would be right next to the radius of the event horizon, right? So,
oh no,
the whole thing.
We don't want that.
So,
I would not like that.
Those are the prepared images there. I don't want to spoil everything there. I wanted to give you a taste for those images there. I would encourage those data developers to go out there and begin to explore the data schemas they have out and the data pipelines. So you can do things like, you want to look for comets, fine. You want to look for near Earth asteroids, fine. You want to look for galaxies that change, have a supernova, right? There's going to be all these alerts coming out. You just want to look at the alerts. You just want to look at the pretty pictures. There's all this stuff out there that this amazing observatory there. I'm really grateful for the many countries that collaborated to build this instrument, for the National Science Foundation, for the Department of Energy, and the very skilled folks at Stanford Accelerator and Lawrence Livermore that built that amazing camera. We're going to learn a lot. We're going to learn ask a lot of questions that we didn't even know to ask.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, I think we're about to get more confused. I don't think we're about, like, yes, we're going to learn a ton, but we're going to get even more confused about things. Like everything we thought we had pretty locked down is going to get a little loose, and we're going to have to tighten up a lot of things, I feel like, because we've never had information at this rate before.
Yes.
Like maybe
quality information at this rate, right?
Yeah. Nothing this good, this readily available, and now it's open source. So now, like, teams all over the planet can, you know, I mean, if there's some kids in South Korea who just like know how to code, they can just go out there and start naming and identifying comets and shit like that. Like
there's already 4,200 teams that have signed up to say,
I'm too late.
No. There's so much data, Mikey. You can find,
Fair enough.
You can find toddler stars, right? You can go and specialize. I want to look for those stars that are keeping the other stars up at night because they're wandering around making noise,
trying to rip their beds apart, like pulling the beam off of the crib. I'm like, why are you like this?
Because, well, but you saw those stars with their afterbirth, and they're going and messing with stuff. Other things are, and their siblings are pushing solar wind, creating all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
I don't look for comets. Comets look for me.
And there's another thing to do, right? We know about lots of comets out there that have been discovered. But we've also noticed at times that some comets all of a sudden flare up.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, right? Either they're cooling as they leave the sun, and then they get little quakes and stuff, or something hits them, or whatever the reason is. So one thing to do is to take and find known comets and see, does this comet have a flare up, right? Do comets have these outbursts, comet quakes that cause a bunch of gas to come out, or maybe a bubble pops, or get an eruption, right? Cryogenic volcano on them. Those are things you can do. Basically say, okay, I'm going to go and look for known comets, take their brightness, their halo brightness, and then watch it again and again, have my data pipeline, and then tell me, hey, this comet got a little bit brighter.
Is the only difference between like an asteroid and like a comet just like the volatiles, like the ices and like the outgassing and stuff like that?
Yeah. Yes. And it's why things we think are declared as comets sometimes are duds, because they're really, all there are is a rock with a bunch of frost on it.
Oh,
It comes to the sun, the frost boils off. So Kohoutek was a famous asteroid that had to be ice covered enough that it had a lot of outgassing as the sun heated it. And when all that frost boiled off, essentially the day boiled off all the frost, and there wasn't nothing to make a snowman out of it. It was just a rock, right? Other ones like Comet West that came next to it was actually a cluster of 4 comets that kind of had congealed, and it heated up to the point where the comet literally broke apart as it was passing near Earth. It was supposed to be this comet where you can go in binoculars and see a fuzz, and I was going to go there and watch it, but I happened to go out at night in the morning when Comet West was near the Earth, and it had a tail that spanned 100 degrees of arc. Right?
Damn.
The comet was on the horizon, and the tail went beyond the zenith, and it because it basically had 4 things, or 4 blobs that kind of heated up and broke apart, and outbursts and stuff. So comets have these outbursts, but there's so many of them out there, and they're faint. So you can build a pipeline to watch comets and see if any comets change totally in brightness, and say, hey, look at that comet, it's doing something. So then
I have to learn how to code, because I need to see this stuff.
And then raw data, and you can have on your screen saver pick a random spot in the sky of a Rubin data and just display it, just for grids, right? Random spot in the sky there.
Someone says, Landon, these youngsters aren't old enough to remember. How do you say it? Kohutek?
Kahuta. It was supposed to be a great comet. The sad thing was West followed a couple months later, and I couldn't even get the reporter out of bed to say, go out, just go outside and look. You don't even need a telescope. This 100-degree comet arc there. Yeah, people aren't interested in comets anymore after Kohutek is dead. No, just give it a chance.
And with the Vera Rubin, it's going to be important to track the asteroids and near Earth objects, because even if it is like it may appear to be a dud, and then it just kind of rolls and you see the whole backside of it is methane ice, and it's about to be like a bottle rocket that could be firing in any direction.
Yes.
We should probably know about these things.
And also one of the things as well is that with this many potential asteroids, I'm interested in asteroid collisions.
Right.
These guys are zipping around. How many of them? How often do they bump into each other? And can we take a couple of these orbits and say these orbits are getting really close to each other? Maybe they don't hit physically, but maybe they deflect. How often does that happen?
And after they run into each other, can we go out there with a net and collect all of the rare Earth materials and bring them back to our moon base?
Each other, and one of them's headed our way. You never know. So
nope, not allowed. Can't do that.
Another thing I'm interested in is detecting asteroids that are going to hit other planets. Right?
Ooh,
Earth is not the only target, right? Jupiter.
Come on,
Saturn,
hit Mars.
Mars. That's it. Yeah. To watch to see are there asteroids that have got Mars number on it? Right. That would be an interesting thing to watch from afar.
And then we could all just sit back and pop popcorn and wait for the impact and wait for the flash.
Sure, and it is the case that the other thing that's going to be really important is determining, enumerating the moons of the outer gas giants: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Right.
We're gonna get some sick video of them.
So we have been recently finding lots and lots and lots of moons of Jupiter and Saturn getting better. Do you know how many moons we now know orbit Saturn?
126.
One, Bob.
It's now at 274.
Oh, gee. How many does Jupiter have now?
I think Jupiter, because there was a big thing. I think Jupiter had I think Jupiter's count, because it had coming and going. I think it was in the 100 area, but there's a survey that's going to come out with stuff. I think it's around 100 plus moons. It's hard to keep track. It used to be, I could say, Jupiter had 12 moons and Saturn had 9, right? That was, or there was a number like that.
Well, Jupiter eats them from time to time.
Yes. And it has there. I'm trying to remember what so it's hard for me. Currently it's 97.
See, it's eating them.
But there's a whole big survey of stuff of the Trojans, right? That's 6 degrees above behind that some of them, when they leave the Trojans and they spiral in toward Jupiter, get locked in. So there's a bunch of stuff that's known, 97 known satellites of Jupiter, but that's gonna when Rubin finishes with this in his first scan, that number is going to go way up. I
was about to say, probably after like the full sky survey, after the 10 years, maybe spend like a month per planet. I think that would be fun.
And so the first scans we're going to pick up dozens to hundreds of moons of these outer moons there. That's going to be interesting to see, and then you track that stuff. Right? That's an interesting thing for building those orbits there. So yeah, I'm really excited, and I can't think of a more deserving person than Vera Rubin to have have this telescope named after her. I think she would be pleased, and she'd be saying, "Let me out that data.
Yeah, time
I'll
to
do some
work.
data analysis for you."
Bring my slide table.
First, I mean, and of course, later on, those are the iconic pictures of her hard at work. Later on, they had computer systems and so forth she used. So,
Can you imagine if she had? Can you imagine if she had an iPhone? This like or a computer comparable to like an iPhone worth of computing. People born in the wrong generations, man.
She was an amazing astronomer and also a great mentor. And astronomy gained a number of people in STEM because she inspired some to say, you don't have to look like a typical astronomer. You can do astronomy. You can make a contribution. And there are many people who could say I was inspired by this young girl building her telescope and hauling it on a bus downtown to show people stuff in the sky because she was that enthused.
All right, we're at the question time. Good, you guys are already following the line. Scott wants to know what makes the moon as opposed to another object. Is it size, orbit, or something else? So, like, why do we designate certain things moons and certain things like asteroids?
That's a good question. Moons are considered if they orbit a non-fusing body. So a body that is big enough. Planet is an item which is orbiting a fusor, some star, neutron star, whatever that has undergone fusion or will undergo fusion, and so that's a planet. And if a body orbits a planet, and the orbit pivotal point is inside the planet, right? So basically, you got a big planet and small object, because when things orbit, it isn't that the planet stays the same and things go around. They tug each other, right? They do this tug. Now, in the case of Pluto Charon, it's a double dwarf planet. Why? Because the two objects do this.
Yeah.
Right. The balance point is actually about a quarter way in between, but it's outside of Pluto's sphere, because the two are like a 4-to-1 mass ratio. So they kind of Pluto does this and Charon does this.
So like,
but in case of Earth, go ahead.
So like the Earth and me and the Earth like have a common center of gravity. Yes. It's very near the center of Earth for the Earth,
yes,
like the center of gravity for the Earth, but it is shifted slightly because I'm here. Like I move it a little bit closer to me as opposed to the Earth. And then with two planetary bodies, at some point, if their sizes are correct or if the distance is correct, it moves the center of gravity goes outside. Like the pivot point comes physically outside of the Earth or me, and it is a point in between us.
Yeah. So if you had two planets of the same mass, they would orbit a point between the two. Right. Now, in the case of the moon, the pivot point in miles is about 1,000 miles below the Earth's surface. Right. Is the point where the Earth does this kind of wobble like this once a month, and the moon does a thing like this. So we call it a satellite. That's the proper term. It's a satellite, a natural satellite. And if its orbit point is primarily inside the primary body. Now, in the case of the sun, if you watch carefully, particularly when Jupiter, which is about 78% of the mass outside the sun, and Saturn, which is about 11-12% of the mass, 72% in 80 and 12, I think is what it is. It's like 76. No, Jupiter is 76% of the mass outside the sun in our solar system, and Saturn is 12%, and the rest are rounding errors. Right, everything else is a rounding error.
We are very important.
So when those two heavyweights, Jupiter and Saturn, are on the same side of the sun, the balance point of the solar system is actually just a little bit outside the sun's optical
diameter
disk, right? So it mostly is inside, but those planets can tug it to the point where the sun is kind of orbiting around that spot briefly. It's near the edge, but that's the way it goes. So a satellite, which is the modern term, is a satellite of a parent body if the orbit point, the barycenter, is inside or apparently inside. Now, when it becomes if the two bodies are big enough to become planets, because they have they're orbiting a fusor and they have deformed gravity where you at equilibrium, basically it's around itself, and the two bodies orbit a spot in between, then you get it be a double planet or a multiple planet. But that's the thing. It's the moon. So the moon is a dwarf planet, but it's a satellite of Earth because the balance point is inside Earth. Typically.
Billy wants to know how much energy to store all this data. I'm assuming from the observatory. I'm guessing a bajillion.
I mean, it is a lot of data there, but the data is put into non-volatile storage, right? So if you talk about 60,000 gigabytes, right? That's probably, or 60 million gigabytes. That's probably 60,000 disk drives worth of stuff. But there's there'll be data center. There'll be more than one copy of stuff. There's data centers around the world where the stuff will be cached. But I don't know. I don't know the internet. I can find out what the data. I think the more intensive data stuff is the pipelines. The raw data coming out through those 100 gigabit fiber links go into the pipelines where they start saying, okay, let's start classifying. Well, we'll store the raw data over here, and then we'll start to look for stuff that moves and stuff that blinks and stuff that anomalies. Those pipelines begin to classify stuff, and then people will tap in and say, give me a sample, right? Because you're not going to sit there and say, feed me all Rubin data.
Hell no. Break my computer.
So what you do is you build a module that taps in and says, if you have data that looks like this, send me this information, right? So maybe you say, I want to track the 100 brightest comets or the 100 best comets that are still visible in the telescope. And I want you, when it visits the comet, to give me the image around it so I can look at 1, the brightness, and 2, the size of the halo. But you can see comets out there heading out there and watch this stuff and say, hey, has this comet jumped in brightness? Or maybe, as you said, then maybe the comet rotates and there's a shiny side and a dark side. And you can see a periodic variable stuff of a comet changing in brightness because you can determine the rotation period of the parent body if it's got a bright side and a not so bright side.
Scott has another question. Doesn't Jupiter make the sun wobble? Yes, it does. I'm gonna answer that one. And guess what? That's the way that we I can't remember what it's called now. Precession? No. It's called, damn it, I lost the word. I had it and then I looked at the thing and then I forgot. But that is a way we can find exoplanets, is we can watch the
wobble though.
Yeah, we can watch a star and we can see that it's doing the shimmy.
Doppler shift.
And that shimmy's not huge. I mean, because if you look at like something like the size of the sun and Jupiter, it's 100 to 1 the size, but it is measurable. It is there. So you can.
So people, observatories with similar capabilities as ours, up to a couple hundred light years, could easily detect the presence of Jupiter and Saturn because they would see that the sun has a wobble because of the Doppler shift, and that wobble has there would be like a 12-year period and a 27-year period of the two planets. So it would be easy to detect given our current set. We can get down to Uranus, Neptune size things pretty easily. Earth, it's harder to get a current technology, but we're getting better. But yeah, it's and so understand that to that excellent question. Especially when Jupiter and Saturn are on the same side and both are tugging on the sun,
right?
The sun's orbit point is outside the surface, optical surface of the sun. The sun is actually doing this around the point when they're on the same side. They're tugging. The teeter totter think about the teeter-totter, the balance point is actually just outside. Now, if Saturn is not adding to Jupiter and it's elsewhere, then the barycenter, that's what we call the pivot point, is inside the optical disc. Now, there's nothing magical when that optical disc goes out. It's not as if the sun gives a blob there. It's just the motion. And remember that motion is on the order of years, right? So it's not as if you're going to see the sun wobble, 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 wobble.
Radial velocity. That's the word I was looking for.
Yes, there you go. And by the way, Mikey, that's what Vera Rubin did. She had that spectrograph I showed of the that was bleeding edge spectrograph at the time, and she took very small angled images of radial velocities of spiral galaxies that were edge on. So you had the coming and going, and she would take multiple measurements across the center to determine their rotation speed, and then go back and do it again and again. And when she had data to confirm, she'd say that galaxy is rotating this fast. And she came up again and again and again saying these galaxies are rotating so fast they should be flying apart. And that on average, there's 6 times more gravitational field than is stuck. What's going on? Maybe this idea about Wiki and friends is not just theory, but actual practice. And
it's the topology of space, Landon. It's just getting wound up in there. That's all it is. I've solved it.
Well, we can't say she discovered dark matter because dark matter is we don't know what it is.
Is dark matter time?
She proved, she did hard work to prove that dark matter effects are real on both galaxies and clusters of galaxies. You see those galaxies that were kind of tugging each other. Yeah. She was also measuring galaxies that are orbiting each other in the speeds and saying they're going so fast that should be flying apart, and they're not. What's going on?
Is dark matter time?
I don't know how time would cause that effect. I mean, we're living in space-time, but I don't know how space-time curvature would cause something like that to happen unless there's something wrong with there's some terms of relativity that we don't know that are washed in noise. We don't know. And so people have been trying to figure out, well,
it's the past. It's the past.
And
dark matter is the past.
One of the things that the Rubin did was we talk about this, that there's out of the universe, 4% is normal stuff, 24% is this dark matter stuff.
Baryonic material.
What Rubin showed was that there are galaxies for which the ratio is like 100 to 1.
What the?
There are galaxies that are pretty balanced, but those that are pretty balanced, but there's galaxies that are like, and so on average, we talk about the average stuff. She had enough data to say on average, it's this much. What's going on here? And people have been trying to figure out, is it that Newton's inverse square law doesn't hold at cosmic scales? Is there something, or there's a term of the relativity equations that should be added to account for this? Or is there stuff? Why do we call it dark matter? Because we've never seen this. So one, we assume mass causes change in space-time curvature. Mass is the one effects of having mass is the gravitational field. There, if you want to use those kind of terms. So we assume that when there's gravity, there's mass someplace that's curving space time. So all we know is that there's more gravitational field than we expect, right? And we're very good at kind of saying star, gas cloud, gas cloud, how much mass, and you find it's anemic. And sometimes there are galaxies where it's 100 to 1. There's 100 more stuff, more gravitational field than there's stuff, right? So where is this? Is a particle?
Those are the old things. That is the past that is stuck on old galaxies, giving it extra mass. The time that we have already gone through on the timeline is stuck. It is getting stuck to us, and we are measuring its gravitational remnants.
So remember that thing I showed you of the blue thing in that halo, the blue cloud halo of where we know it's dark matter. Now we did not see that dark matter stuff. What we saw was galaxies behind it going through there and the light being bent. right? Like a funhouse mirror. It distorts stuff. So one of the things you're not seeing in that Vera Rubin stuff is the funhouse mirrors of these gravitational lenses bending things. But you can detect those lenses and build a map of the strength of galaxy of the gravity because it's bending light.
Right.
And so you can determine what gravitational field is around the galaxy. And they say the stuff is here, but it's got this halo. And the other thing we see is this: if this dark matter is stuff, the dark matter doesn't interact with itself. It's not only does this dark matter, if it's stuff, it doesn't produce light at any frequency we can detect. It doesn't reflect light. It doesn't absorb light. Astronomers are very, 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 very good at detecting the faintest light or the faintest changes in light. That's what astronomers do. And this dark matter stuff is stealth.
Right.
It has. We can't say it has a temperature. It's not. We haven't seen it in radio waves or gamma or any place in between. It is completely stealth. So is it stuff that's just doesn't want to interact with light or doesn't want to absorb light, or is it something else causing space? Because what we know is space-time is curved around these galaxies. That's more than we can count for with mass.
I want to jump in on that. Tim
Sure,
is gonna jump out. He's been nursing a bad back. He's been a real trooper this whole time. He's been suffering in silence.
Sorry for your back. Your back is another proof that intelligent design did not make the human body.
Exactly. Our backs are very insufficient. So Tim's gonna bounce. Thanks, Tim. Sorry you're feeling bad, man. I know that pain.
I wish you success in your back relief, Tim. Just understand that if we are made in God's images, God has back pain.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get some icy hot on my back, and then hopefully I'll be better.
Why don't you just pour a glass of wine, light some candles, take a nice bubble bath, bring in Apollo with you. It'll be cute.
Oh, you know what? I got a hot tub. I'm gonna go soak in that.
Hey, I mean, it's so freaking hot. You could just take the top off and leave it off for 30 seconds.
1,000,000 degrees out there.
Tim's in the hot tub and it's not even on. He's just in it.
The water's just boiling, no jets or anything.
All on its own.
Yeah, I would say if you do it, but if you do it in Celsius, it's a little bit nicer. We're at 30.2 on there. If it's too cold, you do it in Kelvin.
Yes.
The only metric we will use going forward on this show.
How close are you to absolute zero?
Yes. I need real measurements here.
But I understand. I understand back pain too, and I wish you relief. Take care of yourself.
Well, I'll see everyone tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow for the food show. Because you are in back pain, you are not required to record you cooking dinner.
I'll see what I can get. Maybe a couple minutes. I won't get the whole thing, but maybe a couple minutes.
All right. Bye, Tim.
Bye.
Pleasure, Tim. Thank you.
Thanks, Landon.
Thank you.
So dark matter, I solved it. So so let's say me and you live on farms, and our farms are 10 miles apart. Mm-hmm. So, let's make it 5 because I want us to be able to see each other on a nice flat surface. And I can see the top of your barn from my front porch and you can see vice versa. Mm-hmm. So what happens when the corn starts to grow and it starts to obscure my view? Or you start, you put a bonfire right in front of your barn. So now it's obscure. You know what I mean? The heat waves are obscuring the light that's coming from your barn. The light is no longer reflecting off your barn and going to my eyes anymore. It's getting messed up by this other stuff. So I'm saying, and this is the shitty thing about being a person that only lives 100 years and that's only 6 feet tall and has all these human limitations to things. I don't know how we would measure this, but could it be that the topology of space is not as flat as it may act flat, but it isn't as flat as we're thinking it is. And we can have these maybe if you're at a hotel or something, they got those long runner rugs. And then someone with a stupid suitcase with a sticky wheel pulls up that wrinkle in there. If we go back to the farm analogy, is there a wrinkle in the way? that is more space with all of its like, you know, very small baryonic material, but it's more space in one spot than there's supposed to normally be in like a uniform matrix kind of grid format. That's what I'm thinking.
I like your line of thinking there. So because that's an important question to ask, right? And Zuki would say that's a good question to ask. However, we also have measured curvature of space, what they call the flatness, right? Parallel lines and triangles, and we found that the space that we have around here is flat to within the precision of our ability to measure those angles.
Right.
We can see local distortions, right? And so gravitational lenses is exactly that. Gravitational lens, when you see there's a galaxy and you see these kind of arcs around it, so the Einsteinian rings, that's somebody who's taken the carpet of space-time and has smooshed it, as you said, right? Create that little wrinkle. That's in fact because there's something behind it being lensed.
That is how I've always visualized like gravitational lensing, is that like the long runner carpet that has a bubble in it, and that bubble, and I mean you'd have to flip the carpet the other way to be parallel with the horizon or whatever, and then that's the bubble we're seeing. Like now, so why can't it be a whole carpet? So why can't it be a whole carpet that's balled up over there? I mean, we just measured gravitational waves. So why couldn't gravity have scrunched it up into this, like, you know, bunched up carpet of hell?
So and by the way, and in your analogy, the light would become perpendicular from the floor. So you'd be looking up above it on there is how we would detect that thing, or coming generally from the floor. And understand, analogies are really good at taking something complex and giving you a simile thing. So one thing we should be careful about is to take the analogy and make it literal, because we don't literally think there's carpet out there.
There's so much carpet. She's bringing her snack.
I'm going to avoid all the puns about carpet.
We are adults here. Today we are adults. Tomorrow, not so much. But in that sense, you're talking about that in the 3D sense, we got this funhouse mirrors all over the place. And these Einsteinian arcs and rings are exactly that, distortions there. So you say, well, in fact, one of the ways that dark matter has been confirmed is to take the data that Rubin came up with and start to look for lensing effects. Because when you saw that picture of the blue little light with all that haze around it, that is because we have detected lensing behind that galaxy that's bent the light, that's disturbed the carpet. That carpet wasn't hacked down. It's been bunched
up. Someone had bunched up, and so they're measuring the amount of folds of space-time,
right,
to say this is the amount of. What do we know in particular? We know that there's excess gravitational thing. And again, what would cause the carpet to bulge? Mass is what we assume.
But back to the carpet thing, that's the mass. Is the space is folded. So because the space is folded, we can't see what's in there because it's just space to us. And that's you know what I mean?
We can. We can't see what's causing the bulge, but you know, space-time tells matter how to curve. Yeah, space-time tells matter how to move.
Right.
So the curvature of space causes the things to move, and mass causes space-time to curve. So in a general relativity sense, orbits are straight lines because space is curved, right? It's going around the curve. That's what it's not.
It's just an arrow. Like it's just going arrow out of a bow.
That's one way to think about it. So what you're saying is, in fact, that the carpet has been disturbed. Space-time has been from its flat has been lumped, and we can measure that in several ways. We can measure the effect on the central body if it's rotating, as Rubin showed us. And we can measure how light from behind it, coming up through the floor or the carpet, is being distorted. and both give us the same number. So that's how we build those halos of stuff we can't see, because we're measuring the carpet distortion.
Right.
Because remember, when you look at that Rubin image, you saw dot or dot or dot. That space isn't black. There's stuff there unless there's something obscuring.
Right. Unless there's something
So we've
dark.
got plenty of dots to look at to understand how that carpet has been bunched up and squished.
So I'm telling you, I'm out on the front porch looking at the moon, smoking weed, and then it hits me when this movie is done. Like, I feel like the visual representation of what I'm trying to like describe will show. Like, we'll see like the rolling of things, because I don't know how possible this is. Do you think we'll be able to see like the wake or after effect of like gravitational waves? Because I know they're very small, but that's the one that we found. Are we going to see a big shock wave out there from black holes and stuff like that? Are we going to get a visual of that?
Because that would be a really, if there was enough of if there's some gravitational wave came through that would cause the stars to go wobble wobble, that would be a big effect.
That's what I think is going to happen.
But you never know. I mean, I would be very surprised if it got to be that big. On the other hand, the problem is that some of these mergers, if you're talking like the biggest way to make a bang in space is to have two massive black holes collide. And by the way, they discovered a gravitational wave event of two black holes were like each 100 times the mass of the sun, right? The biggest merger they've seen in the shock wave that came from that. But again, the waves are very small with respect to optical systems, right?
Right.
But like I said, you got to look there. Again, with the dark matter stuff, is it the case that space curves a little bit more intricately than just what we think it is? Is the carpet have a plush pile that messes up the folding slightly?
That's what I think.
Or is it that there's these particles that don't interact with light or interact rarely, right? When people say it doesn't interact with light, they're making an error. It's that we've never detected, if dark matter is stuff, we've never detected light interacting with it. But doesn't mean it might subtly, right?
And I think we've been pretty exhaustive, like planet side. We've been pretty exhaustive in trying to like figure out what kind of stuff is down there, right? Like, we filled out the periodic table, we've done measurements of the quanta, we've gone like particle size, and then we got as small as we can get. It's not there. And like, and like, I feel like the particle, like we discovered the Higgs, like we're forming up our great standard model has been holding really strong. It's either the standard model is 100% wrong, and we got to start over with that and then add supplementary things to it, which would fuck up everything else. Or I think the easiest option is space is lying to us. You know what I mean? Like, so either we can't add or space is lying. And I think it's very interesting that space might be lying.
We know there's problems with the standard model. The standard model is this model of a mathematical framework for the known particles coming out of accelerators and all that sort of stuff. We know there's problems with the model, right? Models are models, they're not reality. Standard model does not mean standard reality. And so we know there's problems with the model. Now, we won't throw out the model and say we're completely wrong, because the model has been experimentally confirmed to within precision very well. We know there's problems. Like, one of the problems, the standard model would say that this thing called neutrinos are supposed to have no mass, and we know they do have mass. We also know in standard model, which is very heavily rooted in quantum mechanics, that quantum mechanics and relativity don't play well with each other in extreme cases.
Right.
We know that, and it's not the case that we'll throw out standard model or throw out quantum mechanics. We'll refine it, just like Newton's gravitational laws of gravity still really works, right? It works for the precision. It's just that you get good enough to do the refined measurements of something like Rubin and notice that Mercury isn't quite moving where it's supposed to be, and other things like that. And they begin to see the relativity effects, right? That's the same sort of thing. We know that relativity works, but at extreme cases, they both cannot be correct, right?
Or we're
So-
being lied to, or our eyes are lying to us in a way.
Yeah, or we're being deceived. But again, I don't think it's going to be a case where we didn't like say Newton was wrong. Who cares? Check him out of the history books. We refined the thing. We understood we now understand the regime which Newtonian mechanics worked perfectly well, right? You want to predict what planets are going to be in the next 100 years. Newton's laws still work. Kepler's laws of motion still work, right? So we're not going to throw out the thing, right? The same thing with this if dark matter is particles, and again, I prefer to use the term excess gravitational field, right?
Yeah.
If cause excess gravitational field is there's mass that we just can't see because it doesn't interact with light very well, then the standard model has got to account for it, right? There's terms. We know that there's issues with the standard model already, but again, models are analogies. This standard model is probably one of the best models for particles we have. It's a model. It's not reality. Again, also understand mathematics and physics do have a disagreement, right? Math is physicists trying to predict with the aid of mathematicians what the universe might do. But remember, the universe is under no obligation to follow your model, right? As Feynman
doesn't have to make sense to me.
I'll censor myself, but Feynman said that the universe doesn't give about your model. Your job is to guess what the universe might be doing,
right,
to the best of your ability. And so, don't tell me, oh, but blah blah blah. The math, no. Right? So the notion of and another thing is the question is the universe explainable, right? Can you have one coherent model that would allow for quantum mechanics, one of the most verified theories around, and relativity, and meet in between? Can you have a model which understands how they interact? Can you have a model that can understand some of the weird stuff happens at the near the Planck scale of things, where stuff gets really, really, really weird? Causality becomes the Planck time is a little jumps in time where you can't determine now the order of events. They're so small that your precision of when it happened becomes fuzzy. So the notion of cause and effect gets really wacky, right? So there's things we know that are limits, but these are models. They're not reality. Our job is to figure out. So Rubin's going to give us all this data for questions we didn't. Newton didn't understand the questions about precession of Mercury's orbit. He didn't understand the question. He couldn't even ask it, right? Rubin's going to give us the data and this exciting thing to figure out we don't know something, because that's what astronomers really get excited when we don't know something, because now we can learn. Yay, you don't understand something. Let's go and figure out.
Like I feel like the Rubin's going to literally take us from the discovery phase into the interpretation phase.
Yes.
Because the questions will no longer be there. What is over in the night sky on that day? We got it. We're going to have all the raw materials needed for all this stuff. Like I can't, I don't know how, can I go into a coma for 9.5 years? Like, I want to watch the movie today.
But
I just don't want to wait.
Results. There'll be plenty of results before that 10 years. It's not a 10 years all of a sudden there's stuff there. There'll be
we're not releasing anything for 10 years.
Analysis releases and papers coming out on there.
Yeah.
And you as a citizen can start to grab some of that data and do your own stuff, right? So I'm excited because survey telescopes are not, Lanon has to go for a committee and say, we should be looking at this particular star because I suspect it's a variable, we don't know it. And they say, how do you know? Well, I'm just guessing. Well, go away, right? No longer is it matter that you get to take telescope exclusively and your data is exclusive to you for a year or two, and then everyone can see it. It's releasing data that people can grab and analyze and look for things. And you want to discover comets? Start going there looking for comets and pointing out stuff. Hey, look at this, right? Because 10 million alerts. It's a fire hose of stuff, right? So
it's
be selective.
Completely overwhelming.
Yeah. So because if you just took the raw data, it's like Alta Vista. Remember Alta Vista search engine? You would type in something like Vera Rubin and you get 4 million web pages. Like, what does that do, right? You need page ranking. That's what Larry Page did to prioritize stuff. Same thing. Now, understand the risk of that, right? The risk is that if you use a search engine to look for your stuff, you're going to hallucinate. You're going to hallucinate on your own answers, right? Because again, one of the principles of Rubin is one person's noise is another person's data. The asteroids I would look for are annoying to people looking for star positions, right?
Right.
And star precession because of something like. But I look at stars and annoying dots that
I'm trying to track my asteroids, and these stupid stars are distracting me.
We do not understand yet the questions that people ask about this data set. So it gives you a data repository to ask questions, and you as a citizen can do stuff, or you can just have, I imagine an app that says, give me a random, make my screen, my monitor screen, a random grab of some random spot of a Rubin image. Why not?
And then that's
because you may be the first person seeing that stuff, right?
And then we'll see a telescope looking back at us. Like,
there's so much stuff out there, right? The universe is really big, in case you didn't notice that. And in case you didn't read any Hitchhiker's Guide, it is really big. All Rubin is doing is giving us a read-only cache of the universe, right? And the number of bits that Rubin gets per cubic meter parsec, it's relatively small on average, right? We're just caching a little bit to do a little bit of analysis there. We're also going to learn that if we've done this and this and this, as great as the Rubin telescope is, and the camera systems, we can do better, right? The reason why we don't say this is a 100-year project is because in 10 years, we'll have better camera characteristics. The reason why we didn't make 2 Rubins at the same time is that the second Rubin-like thing will learn from questions we don't even know to ask at this stage. But again, as true scientists, we get really excited when we realize we don't know something, right? When we say, I don't, because again, that jet and the smashing there, something we didn't see. Those stars that were very, imagine output of the star changing 10 to 20% over minutes.
We would have never seen that.
I want to know, is it periodically, or is that just a one-time event, right? Does it have a period, or does it have a one-time little blip, right? We don't know, but that's going to give us that movie.
But each one of those questions is another data point. Is another thing? It rules something. Everything rules something out and points to something else.
I mean, our sun has a 11-year cycle where the magnetic poles flip and it goes from spotty to non-spotty, right?
And then the people, the doomsday people online say the sun's pole is about to flip. Your whole life is gonna be over. Buy silver.
But maybe there are stars that are flipping really fast, right?
That would be cool.
And no one, there's so many stars out there. No one goes and say, well, I want to have. You go to a big telescope person and say, hey, I want 2 hours to look at that star. Why? Because it might be interesting. Right? No, right? Rubin says, here's the data. I'm going to look at the star in the data, and I'm going to find something interesting that someone else didn't notice. That's the exciting thing. And all this discovery is going to come out of this data mining. Most professional astronomers do not know how to use a telescope. It's rare. People like Alex Filipinko, a great astronomer at Berkeley, is one of those rare astronomers who actually can use a telescope, who knows the sky and knows stuff. Most astronomers are data analysts in their office looking at that numbers. And most astronomy data is a bunch of numbers, right? It's not a pretty picture.
A big Excel spreadsheet full of -1s, +3s. Oh, look at this. 0.5. Wow. Yes. And they go crazy. 0.5, James, did you hear? 0.5. Yes. And that's the exciting thing.
We understand that pretty pictures also helps get the grant money, right? But you as a citizen can get access to raw data and start doing the science, as well as making pretty pictures in your background. That's there. That's a thing. That would be the thing that I would want to do or an app is to say, what's the last? Give me a picture of the last Rubin image taken, right? Or most recent Rubin image, right? Just give me that. Maybe, and of course, it can't. Your cell phone is too small to be able to see that, right? So you'd have to say, give me a fraction of an image that can appear on my screen, because
so set up.
If you want to see raw stuff, or you say,
that?
give me average 1,000 pixels to give me the average stuff, right? Because Gideon, you imagine 400 4K monitors for one image, and you want to put it on your cell phone, you're going to have to sacrifice something, right? You're going to be either zoomed in on a spot, or you're going to be average, right? You pick your thing, but maybe that's the way you do it. I don't know, but I mean, cute to sort of see the and the other thing as well is crowdsourcing, where people look at stuff and they say, hey, this is kind of pretty, look at this thing, right? To get the crowdsourced, most thumbed up image spot on a Rubin image that day.
And I'm glad that it's built in Chile, far away from the kleptocracy, oligarchical hands of the United States federal government.
There are very few ICE agents operating down in that region because it's war, right?
The telescope is very cold.
Well, in a hot desert, right? So,
yeah. The telescope's very cold, but no ice was needed to keep it that way.
yes.
I'm glad it's there, and I'm glad the information is available for everybody. I hope teenagers find cool shit, and then other teenagers want to find cool shit with them, because that would be that. I think maybe this is the telescope or the observatory that we needed at this point, because I truly feel like America has become completely incurious about the world around them and about the stars. They just it's all sports betting and AI girlfriends, and I think we can do better, y'all. I think we can do better.
And so there's all these things. I got this pen from the LSST thing when I came by at the American Astronomical Society. It was in 2000. And there's a bunch of people sitting on this table. It's like, LSST, what's LSST? Well, they said, we have this idea about, and we talked about the survey. They were focused on the survey stuff, saying, yes, raw data, but how big? Well, we're trying to figure out what would be the practical size. They were wondering, could you get something full moon size, half degree? Would that be asking too much? And how would you get data? And it became a point where, again, these decadal surveys where they every couple of years they say these are the most important priority for the next 10 years. And around 2010, they said a survey telescope of this capability is something that is on top of our priority list. And I'm glad it stayed there. And then people such as at Slack, another people come forward and said, how would you build this telescope? Because the engineering challenges and the manufacturing challenges of this thing are formidable, but they managed it, and it's doing well. It's doing better than the spec allows.
It moves so fast.
Yeah, I didn't do
180 degrees in like 30 seconds. Like it just moves, as opposed to it might take you a day to get cranking and get it going the complete opposite direction or something.
But it's able to move on a number of degrees per second, right? Of stuff, and that's why. The interlock stuff where there's all kinds of sensitive things. Anything that goes on that floor, the telescope stops and says somebody went behind the curtain. The accident can knocked on, you're going to get stopped. So
Scott says stop schools keeping kids in educational boxes would help. Let kids imagine.
Yeah,
and you can't I couldn't imagine seeing the videos that we just saw. I could not imagine seeing those at like 11. It would my world would just blow up. Like, what? I remember seeing my first eclipse, and it was like life-changing. This is like, these images are eclipse level images. Like, this is true wonder. I'm feeling
when I was deputy mayor in the city of Sunnyvale, we had a city council that was going on in the middle of a total lunar eclipse. And because I was a chair, I said, we're going to take a 1 hour recess.
Everybody
And
come
people
on.
on television are going to go outside and look at the moon. This, da, 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 da. And I got a telescope out there. And
Was
at
that like
City Hall,
91, 92?
I think it was 95, 96, I think it was.
I remember seeing that one. I was a little sprout.
And I was like, and people, people had never seen a lunar eclipse before. You just go outside and look, right? We're going to stop the meeting because I'm the chair and
I say.
So, but the curiosity and if you have kids, I hope there's products where you can have your kids go and wander around in the sky looking for things, right?
Yeah.
And ability to create these planetarium, these things where you can have the planet, the universe on a planetarium and look around the sky maps are going to be much more refined. Where you can zoom in and say, what's here, right?
I need to go to the Adler Planetarium and do some content because that's on the lake downtown.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And outreach there. Those are places where the public outreach to get a kid curious, right? So I hope, Mike, you can find a Vera Rubin book for your child that talks about Rubin.
She might get her middle name changed because I didn't.
but
Vera is cute.
But again, that was a person, and she would say in a talking about afterwards, she would say, yes, I was told it was not ladylike to do astronomy. It was, I should stay home and take care of my kids. He said, I was a great mother. My kids turn out well. And I did astronomy. You can do both, right?
You can do both.
Men are the only ones that can't do, men are not the exclusive family and job, right? Women can do stuff. And she did a lot of promoting of there. But again, it started from her parents allowed this girl to build a telescope. That telescope she built, and then haul that telescope on a bus down in the middle of the night to downtown city and set it up and let people look at the moon, look at Saturn, and so forth. As a little girl, and she kept inspiring that year and year. So I think the only regret is saying she couldn't live long enough to see some of that data coming out because again,
she'd be gobsmacked.
We just saw one little spot of the first light. Now, what are they doing now? Why aren't we getting other things? Because they're doing careful analysis of the data, right? To make sure, is that lens perfectly perpendicular? Yeah. Are all the sensors? Because one of the things they have to build is a flat field where they take light. They take a light box to build a constant light of a certain frequency and follow the light through and say, does this field
is it right?
Correct, or is there a hot pixel and cold pixel we need to fix or involve? So there's a lot of calibration happening, as well as the mechanical people are going zip, 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 zip. The telescope's doing the turning back and forth, back and forth. Does it go back and forth and drift, or is it holding on to there? Does it need to adjust things? Is there a sticky point? All this stuff is being worked on right now. Is why you can't see the second thing because
you don't want to be fixing any of that stuff while you're doing the exposure because then you got to redo that day and then that sets back the whole calendar and then yeah.
Also, you understand that the telescope has to rotate, right? Not only does it move up and down and circle, but the telescope has to rotate because imagine you take if it could see the southern. The North Pole can't, but if you look at the North Pole, the stars you would lock on the pole, and the stars would spin around. So the telescope has to turn like this. So there's three axes of rotation. There's an elevation, there's an azimuth, and then there's the roll. And so it's got to do all three to get to the same position, or you do it digitally, right?
Landon, the Earth doesn't rotate; it's flat.
So
all this fake data that NASA shills are pumping out. I'd love for the flat earthers to get out in front of this one, flat earthers. Explain all the data that's coming in at the amount that is coming in and its accuracy. If the Earth
another thing, by the way, that the Rubin telescopes they have built a model of the atmosphere, right? They take into account the lensing of their atmosphere, right? So what do you mean by that? Well, if you looked at a star that was, let's say, directly overhead, and you followed it all the way down to the horizon, let's say you had a clean horizon.
Yeah.
You actually track not 90 degrees from up to side, but 90.5 degrees. There's an internal half degree. Why? Because the atmosphere bends light.
Oh.
And at the horizon, you're actually seeing when something's blinking off the horizon, it's actually a half degree physically below the plane. And the lensing of the atmosphere bends it up.
Right.
So when you see this of the sun touch the top of the bottom, the bottom touches the horizon.
Yeah.
The sun, if you took away the atmosphere, the sun would be below, right? The sun's about half degree. When you see the first sun hit the top at sunset, it's actually physically already below, and the atmosphere is bending the light up. So the Rubin telescope has to model the atmosphere. Also, by the way, when you have high pressure, it bends a little more. Low pressure, it bends a little bit less, right? So you have to take into account the air pressure as well as the modeling of the atmosphere to get the flat surface. That's one of the things that they do, because you imagine small details matter. So they do things like they have things like the Gaia telescope, a telescope in space that accurately found positions of stars. They use the known position of those things at the mileposts, and then they say, has these things moved? Because
Right.
Rubin will be able to see some of those stars, because we're all swinging around in this galaxy, right? And so their stars doing their thing much slower than the asteroids, and then the ones that have an unknown companion, there's maybe a faint star orbiting, and so the star kind of wobbles because they got a companion going around it
Yeah.
we can't see, or a big planet or whatever. Those are all things that you begin to look at with this time-based movie that's going to be just fascinating. And
because it means nothing for us to take like a camera, like a video camera now, and just point at the sky and watch. Like, yeah, you'll get some streaks if you do like a long exposure or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But to have, what's the equivalent? 1,600 cameras all point at the sky at the same time with the biggest lens spot. Like, we've never been able to, like, I didn't even think shit like this was possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But of course you had to break a couple of records to get what you wanted. Like, yeah, it is impossible with the current technology. That's why we're making something that is better than the current technology, so that we can accomplish the goal that we're after.
Yeah.
And
so the DEC committee said, this is groundbreaking. This is a priority. This is going to have return on investment. It's got its 10-year cycle.
Yeah.
And people will learn from the things that this telescope, which is why the next Rubin Light telescope will be based upon what we learn from this thing. And again, I'm excited about what questions. I want to know the general period of variable stars, right? How many of these stars that are rapidly going, right?
Because in that one image, they found like 20? And then just that one little section that we saw, there was like 20 variable stars. Like, oh my God, that means like most, like, you know what I mean? That puts it like 5% of the stars are variable stars. I don't think we knew that.
Right? Yeah. And so, and as well as the notion of the motions of stuff in our solar system, the distribution of very far. But also, I'm curious about asteroids that we know. Those asteroids don't have a uniform brightness. Some have they have a craggy bit where light doesn't scatter, and there's a flat bit where light reflects. And if that asteroid is rotating, we should see a light curve that wobbles.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're saying I know what you mean, but you're saying light curve. So if I focus my telescope on that object and measure the light that's coming from it, the light will get brighter and darker across the x-axis
as the asteroid rotates. And
so it'll be bright,
it's rotating because it's got a small, because we know that asteroids have little moonlets that orbit each other, and maybe the wobble is physically wobble, because it's got a companion. Maybe it's got a brightness variation because of its unformed. Maybe it's a dead comet that occasionally has a little poof come out. And it's
multiple different volatiles. So like maybe the methane went off, and then maybe the CO2 went off, and now there was some water in there. So,
or maybe something hit it, right? Because I want to look at the collisions. I want to look because we got enough of these asteroids, stuff that are near misses, right? Where they go like this, and I'll look at those near misses to figure out, can we predict? Here's two things. They don't know it, but they're heading towards each other. And they may not hit, but they have a near miss. Let's watch to see. Let's look for near passes of stuff, right?
And once we get a better map of everybody, then you can really get the orbit style. Then you can say, okay, there's going to be 15 collisions today, and that's going to be here, here, and here, and that's going to head into that. And then you can really fast forward into seeing if anything's coming our way.
Exactly. Now, the interstellar object, we've now found our third interstellar thing. Something from outside our solar system passing through. This had to be a comet, right? And Rubin's going to be able to find these things more than just three, right? We found 2 asteroids and now a comet that happen to be going so fast that they pass by the sun. So they came from some other place in the galaxy, had to zip through and going on because they have they have these hyperbolic orbits where they're going so fast that they're not going to be captured by the sun. They're going to zip through. So finding these interstellar visitors, right? We don't
grab
know.
them. Question
Did we
them.
find only 3 that have happened and that's it? Or is there a whole bunch of interstellar things zipping through that no one knew to look for?
Alien probes.
How frequently does stuff from out there come through? And we'd like, if we see something far off that's coming from outside our solar system, just passing through or on the way to some other spot in the galaxy, we'd like to be able to look and say, hey, here's a visitor. Because why? Because this contains stuff that's not part of our solar system.
Right.
Now, it'll have the elements, but in different compounds and different isotope mixes and different stuff.
But what if we bring back the Andromeda strain? We can't just bring that stuff back to Earth. It could be aliens in there, nanobots.
So there's no harm in looking as it's zipping by. We don't know
that. Your eyes get the virus.
We'll just look, right? That's the thing. But also, with Rubin, if there is an asteroid or a rock that's got a name on it, that's got us numbered, we're able to know that much better. And be able to do something about it. But also, I'm curious because I want to find some asteroid that's going to hit Mars.
That would be so cool to see.
Why? Because
my binoculars
can see the effects on the Mars. We've got things on Mars, and if we knew ahead of time about a Mars impact,
our rover. No, I take it back. Don't Orlando. You know it's going to hit our rover. It's gonna go all over the planet. And it's gonna go
small space. So no. By the way, that comet that's passing through. It's called 3I for interstellar / Atlas. Atlas was the name of the telescope that found it. 3I Atlas. It's going to its closest approach from the sun is unfortunately behind, from Earth's perspective, is behind the sun. So during the time where it's a close approach, but Mars, on the other hand, is on that side over there. And in fact, it is possible, given how comets behave, if the comet behaves normally, that telescopes of things at Mars will be able to see it. Right?
That is awesome.
So rover on Mars will look up and see the comet, faint as it is, but see the comet. We're going to try to see if we can do that.
Who's left up there? I think Endeavor went down. We got Curiosity.
Yeah, and also there are 2 orbiters, right?
Oh, that's right. We have satellites.
Mars has relay. We have router relays there that send us stuff. So the rover beams up the relay, and the relay sends it back to Earth. Yeah. So we have stuff going on Mars that are there. So there is a website I'm going to give you.
I need this website.
.nasa.gov. eyes.nasa.gov. Now, eyes.nasa.gov, if you go there and you look at the, if you look at, it's called DSN Now. So I'm going to get you the link here. You can post it in. I'll put it in a chat. And you can, I'll put it in our private chat and you can send it out there. So this is a site. And if you click on enter, let me show you what it says. You will see.
I put it back in the same chat. My bad. There we go.
Right. If you click on enter, you'll see what's happening with the space right now, and there are three main things: Madrid, Goldstone, US, and Canberra, and you'll see what they're talking to. So on Madrid right now, we have the telescope looking at Juno, which is the one which is pointing towards which is orbiting Jupiter, right? Soho looking at the sun. Psyche is going out to there we can see the James Webb Telescope. There, as I say, it will show you. And maybe I can try to share.
Okay.
Try to share. Let me get to the thing where I'll have something to share with you.
Oh, I forgot about New Horizons. That's the one past Pluto, right?
Yeah.
It's left the solar system, or it's
yes.
on its way to leave the solar system.
Yes, and so it's testing there. This is going there.
Oh, Maven.
So
I forgot about these.
So let me get back to. So I'm going to go to here and do the share thing. I'm going to move.
And then we'll wrap after this because the kid is screaming because she wants to play. And I will play with her.
Yes. Well, I hope that she gets to play with Rubin images eventually. And my friend Vera C. Rubin. That's the thing you want to see. Okay, so back to here. Here we go. Let me do the share. And right now it's not behaving as good as I would like, but I'm going to share my screen. Our screen over here. Okay, so this is eyes.nasa.gov, and we see three main telescope stuff.
Okay.
Canberra, US Goldstone, and Madrid. So they're basically pointing in three different directions, right? And if you look at the world map over here, basically here's Goldstone over here, here's Madrid, here's Canberra, basically pointing in three different directions. And what you see is a telescope like this. This is something looking at New Horizons, right? So it's currently in Madrid, pointing towards the thing outside, beyond Pluto, which shows. And if you click on the more detail, you get things like the data level, data directions, and that sort of thing. Amount of data coming out. This is the lunar reconnaissance orbiter. So this is a thing orbiting the moon, giving us data there. That's testing. Here's the James Webb Telescope, right? This is collecting data from the James Webb Telescope. This one is Korea has a Pathfinder. Korea has launched a thing to basically orbit the moon, our moon, and that's the Korean thing getting data for them. Here is the spacecraft Goldstone orbiting Jupiter. This one is looking at the sun. This one is maybe, I think that's I think
that's the Marvis one.
Yeah, because you can look at the view of the spacecraft. It shows you the picture of the spacecraft here. You click on it and go to the website. Psyche, this is going out to a metallic asteroid. This is a asteroid that's not rocky, but is metal. This is like for those metalheads. This is
heavy metal asteroids.
It is. This is a testing thing here. They're doing some testing stuff, and then this is the United Arab Emirates has a mission to Mars called Hope, and so they've got a heading towards Mars. So you'll watch the stuff that this is currently in test right now. But normally you would see lines going up or down, showing you the is coming up or going down. The data was transmitting, and also down here when you click on more detail, you'll get stuff showing you the bit rate and where it's going. But right now the site is in test mode. But normally you would I click on this and would say how much data is coming from Juno versus stuff. And by the way, you'll see like Voyager will show up, right? They'll go back and pick up the latest thing from Voyager and all those spacecraft. You'll find that they come and go because they have to schedule this network. These are the telescopes. These are the sizes and meters for what they have and what they're doing. But you'll see space is pretty busy. But it's called, and if you go to, the Deep Space Network, give you all kinds of data about what the Deep Space Network is like, and you see the antennas there, stuff, but all stuff in the eyes.nasa.gov. So I want to encourage your stuff because there's a whole bunch of stuff going on out there that has nothing to do with Agent Orange or.
Check this out. So they're all down right now, being torn down and cleaned in service and all that stuff. But it looks like here you can see the up and the down signal, and it'll show you for each one of those.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And so we did a lot of work on getting this data. You get the routing, you get the frequencies it's on, the bit rates it's on, the time of flight, all this stuff there. So it's going to come up again because we're doing service stuff. But check out this thing.
So here's Soho is the solar one. There's Juno for Jupiter. Psyche is that metallic planet. And then here's JWST. There's the Korean one.
On the web and do a search for Psyche and see what that's about. And go to it has its own website there. So I encourage you to look for stuff there because there's a lot of stuff going on out there.
Yeah.
Yay.
So get into a rabbit hole. Get yourself some wine or a blunt or whatever is legal in your state and just dig into space. For today, your homework is to go find something cool in the universe that you didn't know existed and get nerdy. No one's watching. No one's going to be mad at you. And just learn something today. Just learn something today that you go see something you never saw before. It's amazing. For latecomers, I can recommend Mars Guy on YouTube. He's a geologist. Ooh.
Yep.
Volcanology.
He's a pretty good. He's a really good planetary scientist because he does geology around planets, surface stuff. I do formation systems, but he does on there. So he has a lot of stuff about Mars quakes and stuff we've had from that seismometer.
I want to shake Landon's hand or give him a big old hug, whichever the moment requires. Mm-hmm. That's one of my life goals. And I also would love to meet Destin from Smarter Every Day.
Hug and shake, right? Because I it may be that, but on my way out to, because I sometimes go by the University of Illinois. I take the train through a place called Chicago that you might be familiar with.
I will buy you the greasiest Italian beef sandwich you can handle with all the hot giardiniera to go along with it.
I want to know. I want to be given the quintessential the Chicago deep dish. Say this is the authentic deep dish style. I don't know how to.
Here's the best thing, Landon. You can't miss. Even if someone's a 7, you're like, oh, yeah, what a great 7.
and I am pleased to say that your daughter, the person that kept you up last night, will be able to explore some of the stuff that Vera Rubin did, and so keep an eye out for books.
Yes, I'm excited. Games. So all is not lost. You hear me? All is not lost. Don't you dare give up that fire. Don't you dare give up that spark. We will make it through this. And we will save the world in time.
Thank you.
So that's all we got for today. It's been a little bit longer than normal.
Thank you,
you know how me and Landon get. I had to tell him that I solved dark matter, and he's gonna listen to me. Damn it!
You had some good points. You had some good points. We'll see what happens with dark matter. I apologize for the errors I made because sometimes I say dark energy, I mean dark matter. It should be excess gravitational field. So you might be maybe your daughter will be the one to say,
"Wouldn't that
you
be
dummies?
cool?
Here's the blah blah blah." Like, oh, why didn't we think of that?
Landon, if you think I'm insufferable now, let me be 60 years old and my little stinky butt on there solves dark matter. Oh, I will be. Yeah, she was under the tutelage of probably one of the smartest men alive. I'll be so full of myself.
But please, we live in what I call my favorite universe, and there's so much things out there. I recognize that news is important, but try not to doom scroll. Instead, cosmic scroll through. Just take those images and we were zipping around. Spend some time and attention to look at those stuff in that detail and enjoy.
Download one of the pictures. They got some free images over on the.
It takes some time. It takes time.
It's 14 gigs. I downloaded it a couple weeks ago, like when it came out. It's 14 gigs, so it's a big image. So you might have to do some workarounds, but try to find a way to download it and observe it.
Who had AOL and those modems and went squeaky downloading a normal picture, and you go
line by line. You have to animate it.
You gotta wait because it takes some time to but
it's
download,
big.
cache it, and start to explore. It's going to be marvelous. So thanks again, and thank you for all those that worked. I want to thank all those that worked on that telescope, that engineered that stuff, and are now the 130 plus people that are there making sure that telescope sings and dances. I had a conversation with a person, and he's one of these special privileged people that gets to go onto the floor of the telescope.
Ooh.
What he cleans, his job is to clean. He said, I'm the space janitor, and my job is to make sure that place is squeaky clean. There's nothing's going to interfere with the telescope. There's nothing's going to, no schmutz, it's got to be exposed outside air. So it's a dust collector, but they have positive air pressure. They take open air from inside and they blow out. So the general thing, but there's still
out.
But there's some bird come over there and go.
Yeah, some Andean condor. It's just 2 miles up, just floating that is the spot. Or some idiot fly, some mosquito with a grudge.
So his job is to deal with the schmutz that lands outside the telescope. That's on the floor of the walls, right? And so you might say, and he's quite proud of him. I'm the space janitor, but that's important that stuff remain in a pristine curl stuff. The opticians are there, so there's a whole team of people and coders, right, for stuff. So please grab some of that schema data and start to build your own little feed distributor stuff. Go for it.
So we said here, Sean Carroll's good content. We love him. Sean Carroll, if you can find Filipinko, if you can find some
Alex Filipinko,
he's done some stuff. I was so sad that I had to work on your birthday party that year, and he was like in the thing. I was like, oh, no, I was so sad. Now Red is great stuff. If you like chemistry, Styropyro is more lasery stuff. Electro Boom is more electro. There was a panel not too long ago. I think they do it every year now. Open Sauce. You guys should check out those panels, and it's literally like those three people are on stage at the same time. Now Red, Styropyro, and they all have great channels for fun, interesting brain stuff.
So if I can plug right now, this thing called the International Obfuscated Seed Code Contest, and it is the internet's oldest contest. I'll put the link in here.
Okay.
So I'm one of the founders. We have our 40th anniversary of this contest for programmers to write the most obscure, twisted piece of code. And right now that at less than 5,000 bytes. And we're about ready to announce the winners of the 4th anniversary contest from all over the world. We are probably, I'll give you a news flash, we're we have our producer and our rendering system had a fan failure on our GPU, and the fan is on order, so it probably means that we were going to announce this weekend. It's probably going to be next weekend that we're going to announce. But there'll be a show on our favorite universe channel where we'll reveal the winners of some of these amazing programs of people that are very, very clever coders to do some of those twisted code that you will probably ever see. So that's
drop me a line because I want to watch that. I want to see.
Yes, we'll announce that stuff on there. We're working hard at getting ready for that. I've got my producer saying, "Where's Lanon? You're supposed to be back here helping build the show." So I will do that. So check out that stuff there for the programming contest. Meantime, Mike, I hope that you and I can figure out another time to get together to talk more astronomy. I'm going to hear your ideas, and there's other things. What's going on up there in the universe. Down here we're causing. So let's do this again.
Yes,
we will. Other fun.
Oh my goodness, she's so mad at me. We will do that soon. Because we're gonna need a break from all this politics stuff. We're gonna do food tomorrow. With maybe a slight edge of politics, but we're probably gonna. You guys need you guys need pressure release valves. I hate to break it to you, but it's necessary in life. We can't drum on Trump bad news, American decline every day. If we do, you guys will be in a worse state. Yeah. It's important to palate cleanse with something that's good for your brain.
And just remember, the person who suffers most from Trump derangement syndrome is Donald Trump himself. So.
Yeah, he likes the smell of his own farts, and that explains our current political landscape. So again, thank you guys so much for the support. We love you so much. I gotta go. We will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.